once, my ass.
I'm only 4. Bonjour, Monsieur Pussycat.
Cracking toast, Gromit.
Start spreading the news.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the short podcast about short films. I am your host, and while this podcast is still currently on a bit of a hiatus, I thought I'd make this fun little bonus episode because while I do love short films and I love the Academy Award for Best Animated Short, I do enjoy other things, believe it or not, such as one of those things being the reality show Big Brother. And as it so happens, today, when you're listening to this, or at least when it's released, is when the next season of Big Brother US begins. And so, to commemorate it, I wanted to play just a fun little game where I make my own fantasy season of Big Brother using characters from Best Animated Short winners. This idea is 100% stolen from the Dead Meat podcast, who have done multiple episodes where they instead play Survivor with horror characters, but I don't watch Survivor, so we're doing this instead. With me today is someone who has not watched the US version of Big Brother, but has at least watched every Best Animated Short nominee, our color commentator and frequent guest, Christof. Hello, Christof.
Um, so are we not talking about malaria and nursery rhymes and telephone box and my other favorite short films this episode? Because that's what I prepared for now.
No, not yet. That is for much down the line. We are not into the regular show yet, unfortunately.
Okay, so I prepared that for today.
Well, as the motto of Big Brother is, you should expect the unexpected. And so this is something completely unexpected for you, and I hope you have fun. And I hope you out there listening have fun as well.
So do I.
But before we get into it, as just a quick explainer of the format of Big Brother and what's about to happen, 12 contestants called house guests will enter the quote unquote Big Brother house, except, of course, we don't have an actual house here. No contact with the outside world or any form of entertainment, and their every move is live streamed for the viewers at home. Each week, they will vote out one house guest until only one player remains, and they win 750,000 US dollars. There are competitions each week that give players certain benefits, such as the head of household competition, which allows the winner a private room and the power to choose the two nominees for eviction. There's also the power of veto competition, which grants a player the chance to remove one house guest from being an eviction nominee and force the head of household to pick someone else. There are more details, other fun twists, but I'll explain more details when we get there. In short, this is a game about social strategy, maneuvering the social landscape to keep yourself from getting voted out, whether that means keeping the power in your hands or making sure those in power don't have reasons to vote you out. And so, with that brief explainer out of the way, I'm sure some of you who are listening, if anyone's listening, might still not understand, but I believe you'll just get the gist of it as this is going along. Uh, but it's time to reveal the fun part, which is who the hell am I going to use to represent the best animated short category? Who are going to be our house guests for this season of Big Brother? I've selected a wide variety to try and get a bit of representation from each era of the best animated short category. Of the 12 characters we have moving in, all of them are featured in a best animated short winner, and there's at least one short film represented per decade, excluding the 2020s. But without further ado, let's bring them in. Christof, are you ready to hear this list?
I am so ready, and I'm still hoping for the guy who's carrying the toilet bowl through the room in Tango to be on the list.
Unfortunately, he is not. Instead,
Aww.
first, and this is in order of release of the short film, so I guess kind of like an age order. But first, we have Tortoise from Tortoise and the Hare. He is earnest, wholesome, and understated. I think in the game, his strengths are the fact that he would be pretty underestimated. He's probably a pretty likable character. He has great endurance for the competitions. He's probably smart. I'm not sure. But he is, of course, slow.
Question. Only one of him, or also his wife, lookalike, whatever?
It is just the tortoise. It's not the family of tortoises or anything that is featured on that show.
So his basic strength is already not represented.
Well, his strength is that slow and steady wins the race, as the famous fable goes.
Okay,
But
I'll take
also
that.
he is just slow, so it's like in any of the competitions that are, agility based, he won't win those. Unless I don't know. We'll get there when we get there with the competitions. Uh, Next competitor, we have Donald Duck. I imagine him as a bit of a middle of the road player. He's not too excellent in any aspect, but will never be the bottom of the pack either. However, of course, he is quick to anger, and that will put a target on him. But also, he's a bit of a schemer as well. He is just kind of the everyman, but he's a very passionate person as well. He definitely wants to win the money and will do anything he can to do that. So his strengths are his passion, but his weaknesses are just the fact that he's very, very emotional and can't control that very well. Next, we have Tom from Tom and Jerry. I imagine him also as kind of very conniving. He's very much a schemer, trying to get in everyone's ears and trying to make big moves in the game to get out the big targets. And I think he's also a very he seems pretty quick from when we watch those shorts. I think he could do well in some of those speed competitions, though maybe not as well as some of our other competitors that we have down the line. Uh, but also I feel like he's a character who would like try to do big moves too quickly, and those will very easily blow back in his face. And it's like very easy to see what he's trying to do. And speaking of speed, next we have Speedy Gonzalez. He is probably going to be one of the strongest competitors in these competitions just due to his speed. He's also probably one of the best social competitors because, as you know, he's friends with everyone's sister, of course. He is a very easy target in the house, but I doubt there's going to be many times when he will be like immune from elimination, or he won't be immune from elimination. So, great at everything. If there is any weakness to Speedy, I feel like he's not the most observant person, but maybe he won't even need that. Next, we have Mr. Magoo. The
Woohoo! Does he
perhaps
even know he's on the show?
Yeah, it's like he's the most useless person in the house. He can barely see or think straight, but he's at least likable. I feel like he's going to get along with everybody, even if he doesn't quite understand where he is or what he's even doing here.
He's
But
probably getting medical leave from most competitions, but he's just stumbling through them anyway.
and this, I didn't think about this until this moment, but when we were planning this episode, you mentioned like one of the iconic Big Brother moments internationally on Celebrity UK Big Brother, where I forget who the contestants were, but it's like somebody like
Oh,
David Bowie.
I can tell you.
Yeah,
I've
you go
watched this
ahead.
clip
You can
so
explain it
often.
better.
This is so wonderful. So the three most important people are Tiffany New York Pollard, best known for being on Flavor of Love, the Flavor Flav dating show. Then there's David Guest, best known for being briefly married to Liza Minnelli, despite or because of having the appearance of being flamboyantly gay. And Angie Bowie, who is best known for two things. One is being married to David Bowie in the 1970s. Also, she's the mother of Duncan Jones. But I don't think she has been on speaking terms with David Bowie since the divorce in 1980, and she has been estranged from Duncan Jones since his early teens. The other thing Angie Bowie is chiefly notable for is there's a persistent rumor that she is the Angie that the Rolling Stones song Angie is about. I'm not saying that she invented this rumor. I'm just saying that nobody on the planet has been mentioning this rumor as often as she did, despite Keith Richards and Mick Jagger very often denying it. And saying we should know who the song has been written about because we were the ones writing it. So these three people were on the show, among others. And then David Bowie died. And Angie Bowie was David Bowie's ex-wife, and so the producers of Big Brother said, well, she has been estranged from him. They're not speaking to him, but still, we probably should tell her, and then told her David Bowie died and gave her the option to leave the show. But Angie Bowie, being Angie Bowie, of course, didn't leave the show, but went back and put some black bow in her hair or whatever. And Tiffany Pollard, of all people, noticed something being off about Angie Bowie and asked her what was happened. And then Angie said something, I'm going to tell you, but you must promise not to tell a single person David died. And Tiffany Pollard, New York, goes absolutely mental. She goes through all stages of grief except acceptance within something like a minute and a half. She's screaming. She's saying, you're joking. Don't make such jokes. She screams everyone around because Tiffany thinks she's talking about David Guest, who has been on the show, who is on the show, but earlier that day retired to the bedroom because it didn't feel very well. And then everyone comes together. Someone goes to the bedroom to see that David Guest is still sleeping and still alive. Meanwhile, Angie Bowie is just sitting alone saying, this did not go well. I should have known she's a screamer. Why am I telling her? And until finally, some guy, I don't know who, comes out of the shower with a towel around his body and the towel around his head and becomes the voice of reason and clears everything up, what happened and who went wrong. It's just the most amazing and hilarious clip in the history of reality television. Also, it should be noted, David Guest, after he leaves the show soon after, a few days later. So does Angie Bowie. She leaves the show. David Guest leaves soon after. Then he's planning some sort of tour where he's on stage and talking, which is called something in the lines of "David's not dead," but then he dies. It's also extremely bizarre.
It's truly bewildering. It's one of those things that like it's why I enjoy reality TV. And it's like I never even was like a big reality TV person until, well, I guess I watched shows like Biggest Loser when I was a child, but I just recently got into a Big Brother kick like last year, watching some YouTube videos. It's just like there's just so many great moments of just basic misunderstandings by with two big personalities can create such entertainment, and it's beautiful. But yeah, and so anyway, I was just thinking of like fucking Speedy Gonzalez leaning to Tom and going, Magoo's dead. It's just anyway, Mr. Magoo.
I guess it would be Donald Duck rather than Tom.
True.
Because it should be someone who, like Tiffany Pollard, is a screamer, in the words of Amy. I should have known she screams. I think that's the words she uses.
I do. I have a vague idea of who Tiffany Pollard is, and I just think it's funny to compare her to Donald Duck. But
Tiffany Pollard invented reality television. Tiffany Pollard was one of the first people ever to go on a reality TV show, not really to win the show, but to draw the attention from everyone else. She was on season 1 of Flavor of Love, and she was eliminated at some point, but she drew so much attention to her that she was invited back to season 2 of Flavor of Love. Okay. Where she made it to the final and then still wasn't chosen. And when Tiffany Pollard is on a reality TV, she's probably one of the first people to become famous as a reality TV contestant.
Yeah, we love her. And there's just so many iconic moments, like iconic parts of like internet culture and stuff that are like from her. And it's just like she's more influential than anyone can really realize.
Yeah.
Anyway, next we have Monroe. He's only 4, and he does. I do. Part of why I included Monroe is just I really enjoy the idea of somebody who actively does not want to be here, but at the same time is not allowed to leave. And it's just like whenever he's asking to leave or like not take part in something, they're just laugh it off. It's just like he like just like in the short film, of course, or it's just like no, you can't be 4 years old. You're here. It's just like you wouldn't be allowed to compete in this competition if you were only four. But yeah, he's very much going to be, and at the same time, I feel like he's going to be a bit underestimated. Like, no, even if like they don't realize he's 4 years old, it's not like they're going to see him and think he's going to be a strong competitor. But people still love his "I'm only four" joke. They think he's hilarious. He probably has good social game without even trying. But at the same time, he's still 4 years old and is not going to be great at most of the competitions. Next we have Winnie the Pooh. Uh, Kind of like Mr. Magoo, he doesn't really understand what's going on around him, but he's still having fun being here. Very likable, happy to be included, probably very loyal to the friends he makes, but he's also just not very good at anything, though he might believe he's a very fierce, strong competitor. Uh, and next, uh, this is gonna be the first really interesting choice, I think. I have Isambard Kingdom Brunel from Great.
Ooh.
And I'm going to clarify now because it will come up again. Uh, this is not meant to be the real person. This is meant to be the caricature of them that is featured in the animated short. And it's just like any semblance to the real person is not intentional. This is just a fun little character.
Isn't God Kingdom Brunel is that you have not be to be afraid of him suing you for libel.
True, true. And the other living people I have in this are also dead. So it's fine. But yes,
The other living people I have in here are dead. That's a wonderful line.
a real, yeah,
A line that you just said.
I did say that. Anyway, uh, I think Isambard Kingdom Brunel, he might have great like social strategy, but not entirely great at like physical competitions. But at the same time, he will be competing against Winnie the Pooh, Mr. Magoo, and a bunch like the
And
tortoise from Tortoise
Monroe.
and the Hare. It's just like he's not going to be that bad or anything. He's just might not be the biggest competitor. But yeah, I think his biggest strengths though are just he's smart and he's probably sociable. Well, next, again with the real person, we have Ed Koch, the mayor of New York from Sunday in New York. Uh, Again, this is just the character of him that is featured in Sunday in New York, though, of course, I won't have him be just singing New York, New York the whole time. I just imagine him as more like a very comedy, silly oriented person. And it's just like we don't really get a sense of like intelligence or like physical capabilities. I'm just imagining him as a guy who's silly. And it's just like I feel like the other contestants might like him, though some might get very, very annoyed of him very quickly. We can judge that as we go in. Next, we have Gromit from the Wallace and Gromit franchise. I feel like he could also be a very good winner pick. He's somebody who's very smart, but is also very underestimated. And he would be very great as a at a not just like the intelligence challenges, the social challenges, but also I feel like he's a good physical competitor. Like he in those shorts, he does a lot of work. He is a strong character. He can build these machines with Wallace. And I feel like Gromit does most of the work anyway. It's just it it really just comes down to hoping that nobody realizes how good Gromit is. Next, we have Ronald McDonald from Logorama. I added
Okay,
him.
now there you might get sued.
I maybe not. I think this falls under fair use. We'll see. Especially since this is just like a legally distinct character. It's a satire. I don't know. I don't know. I can talk my way out of it, hopefully. I'll find a lawyer who can help. But anyway, I included him mainly because I feel like this would be such a wild card competitor. Like every great season of reality television has the guy who's just he was kind of terrifying to be around, that nobody enjoys. He's very loud, very annoying, kind and you kind of want the producers to kick them off the show, but at the same time, they're the most entertaining part of the show. Nobody likes him, but at the same time, I feel like people will want to hide behind him. It's a very interesting position to be in.
So
And
you're
I'm
saying Ronald McDonald is Tiffany Pollard, New York here?
no, I'm saying that uh Ron McDonald is like Willie Haynes or like his brother who was on Survivor, whose name I don't remember, or were at least on Big Brother, Willie Haynes. He uh got kicked out of the show after like he was head of household in week one, but then it's just like he felt people were like undermining his power and kept talking down to everybody. And week two, I think he was kicked out because he like pushed another house guest like pretty roughly and like was starting a fight. And I think the producers wanted to just give him a warning, but he was still like flipping out and like just generally being disrespectful. So it's just like, okay, God, you just gotta go. That kind of thing. But yeah. So yeah, I feel like he could either be a big, strong presence in the game, like actively like puppeting a lot of things, but also he could very easily make himself enemy number one and get kicked out very quickly. We'll see. And our last competitor, again, it's a real person, but it's not the real person we're going to be playing with. It's Kobe Bryant from Dear Basketball. So, in the short, he is portrayed as very charming, but is also a very clear physical threat. I feel like he is another person where it's just like it's very obvious that he is going to be very great at the game, and therefore people will want to target him if they are playing the game strategically, and which probably about 75% of our guests, maybe 66% of our players will actually be doing. A few of these people don't even know they're here. Uh, but
Yeah.
we'll see how it turns out. I I
This
think
is a very male lineup of contestants.
it is. Did not even think about that. There is actually not a single woman in this
I
cast.
was thinking about who could Kobe Bryant sexually harass, but there's no one here. So that's good for him.
Yeah.
I did not
Uh,
just say that, by the way, in case anyone wants to sue me.
mhm. But Kobe Bryant's dead, so he can't sue you. But maybe his family would. But actually, I thinking back like into like best animated short winners, like what are female characters I would be able to include? Dude, like I can't even think. Like you had suggested like if I were doing nominees, I could include like Hattie from Ham and Hattie or things like that. But if since I'm doing just winners at this point, I don't think there's even that many. Hey, it's like
Yeah, and I
all the
don't want to talk about Anna and Bella.
yeah, and it's like there's not that much character to them. Well, there's some. There's enough there I could work with. Like I included Sunday in New York here.
Yeah, I mean, we could have Mona Lisa, who's descending a staircase.
That's too light. That's too nothing. She's barely in the short as is. Yeah, I'm just looking through. It's just like there there aren't any female characters. Damn. Like I'm into the 70s now and I don't see any starring
Well,
like
we
maybe the dot from the dot in the line.
yeah, yeah, or the wife from Crunchbird,
Yeah, I was about to
who's
say
always out to shop. Oh, but
the,
we don't know if the Crunchbird is male or female.
true. True. Or like the wife from Special Delivery, maybe. Uh, the statues from a Greek tragedy. Uh,
Minnie Mouse isn't in an Oscar-winning short, is she?
no, yeah, she wasn't in Lendapa or anything. That was Mickey's only win. The wife from Bob's Birthday would be good. But yeah, it's just like
The daughter from Father and Daughter.
true. Yeah, I could definitely see her. I feel like she would actually be a good competitor. Or it's like I'd have no basis for that, but I think she would. Or the female character from the Danish poet. What else we got here? Either the daughter or the mom from Hair Love. Oh, Bao, of course, the mom from Bao. She would be great. Oh, she would be good. But I feel like she would get everybody on
Yeah.
her side because she would make food for everybody.
The
The
girl who gets killed, and if anything happens, I love you.
the grieving mom. Oh man,
Yeah, this is a fun episode, isn't it?
already it's so iconic. Like God, this is this is a train wreck already, but I think we're having fun. But anyway, that is our lineup here. And with that, we begin with our first week, day one. And we, of course, have our first HOH competition. Before anybody even gets the chance to talk to each other, we need to have a competition to figure out who the head of household is. And for the first week, the competition tends to be something that is a bit more substantial than some of the later competitions. So we actually have three parts to it. And just to explain again, the head of household is essentially the person with the power for the week. Like I said, they get their own room and they also get the power to choose two nominees who will eventually go up to, they will be voted on as to which one will be chosen to leave the house. But, and so for this HOH comp, we have, what I decided to do is we're going to separate. Okay, I'm explaining this weirdly. The house guests will get a choice to choose either the brains competition or the brawn competition. The house guests will each pick their own individually without knowing what the others pick, and when decided, they are divided to each compete in their own side, and the winners of each one will compete in one final competition to decide which one is actually the head of household. Do you understand that much, Christof?
Yes, I do.
Okay. So first, I want to try and figure out which side each one will pick. Like who would pick brain, who would pick brawn. Like first, we'll start with the tortoise.
Brain.
Brain. Donald Duck, brawn.
Agreed,
Tom,
yeah.
Tom.
I think Tom thinks of himself as very smart, so he's picking brain.
Okay. Mr. Magoo. I think he just
You're
kind of
skipping
want.
Speedy Gonzales.
Oh, did I thought I had Mr. Magoo first. Okay. Speedy Gonzalez. I think he would pick brawn. I think
Yeah,
he
I think
uses.
so. Yeah, I think so as well.
I'm thinking Mr. Magoo just kind of wanders into the brawn category.
Yes, it definitely. Definitely. He has no idea.
Monroe.
He's only 4.
He's only four. I think
Brain. He will pick brain because at least I think he's
I think that's the word he's more likely to understand.
yeah,
Winnie the Pooh, definitely brawn. He thinks himself as very strong.
yeah,
IKB, it Isambard Kingdom Brunel, I think he's
brain.
going brain. Ed Koch, Mayor of New York, I think he's going
I
brain.
think I would say brain as well.
Gromit, I say brain.
Yeah, he could go in either one and do well, but I think he'll go for brain.
Ronald McDonald, brawn. Kobe Bryant, I think brawn.
Yeah.
And that's actually nice because it gives us 6 and 6 for each competition. So first we'll start with the brain side, which has the tortoise, Tom, Monroe, Isambard Kingdom Brunel, Adcock, and Gromit. It it's funny just reading these characters' names together. But anyway, and something I did for this season is every single competition is named after a Best Animated Short nominee. And so the Brains competition is called And to Think That I Saw It on Mulberry Street. The house guests have a variety of props with them and are briefly shown the picture of the props that are arranged on a street that's in front of them. They have a little street lineup. And then they have to try and arrange the props in the correct order and press a buzzer to confirm their answer. And they have to just keep trying until one person gets the correct arrangement. And it's like the picture of the props is shown at like random in like regular intervals. So it's just like if you don't get it all the first time, it'll eventually be shown again. And for longer and longer time. So it's just like eventually somebody's just gonna get it. And so
So
of
the fastest who gets it right wins.
yes,
So goodbye, tortoise.
goodbye tortoise. Uh I think Gromit is a really good competitor here. I don't think
Yeah,
Tomcat has a very good memory. Monroe is only four. It's really just between Isambard, Kingdom Brunel, and Gromit. And
yeah, I see these two as well.
I
And I think Gromit is faster.
I think Gromit is faster. I think he probably also just like they're both engineers, so it's like I feel like they have similar intelligence maybe, but I think Gromit will just be able to do it quicker.
Yeah.
So Gromit is going to win the brains competition. The brawn competition is called It's Got Me Again. The contestants are quote unquote mice attached to a quote unquote cat that's pulling them upwards, and they have to hang onto a pole to keep themselves on the ground. And it's just like there's a wire cable that's pulling them with more and more force. And over time, the force increases, making it harder and harder to keep a grip. Last person to stay holding on wins. And so in terms of grip strength here, I don't think Speedy Gonzalez wins. Mr. Magoo
No,
definitely does not. Winnie the Pooh does not. I think
no.
it's an easy win for Kobe here.
Yeah, I'm looking at them. I don't see anyone really having a chance against Kobe. So
All
it's
right.
Gromit versus Kobe.
Gromit versus Kobe for our first head of household competition. And the winner of these two comps compete in the mind game challenge called Get a Horse. But it's more familiar to at least you, Christof, as a variety on the game Carrot in a Box. Uh, but instead of a carrot, it is a horse in a box. The two competitors each have a box, and one of these boxes has a horse. The brains competitor, that being Gromit, is allowed to peek into their box, and they will tell the brawn competitor, Kobe, whether or not they have the horse, and may or may not choose to lie about this fact. The brawn competitor can ask more questions, and the brains competitor can answer if they like, but eventually, the brawn competitor must decide whether to swap their boxes or keep the original box. Whoever has the box with the horse becomes the HOH. Not only that, but everyone who competed in the first comp with the HOH is also immune from eviction that week. So, who do we think wins horse in a box? Get a horse. Is it Gromit or is it Kobe? Who is the better mind game competitor?
I think it's Gromit. I
I,
think Gromit has such a poker face, and Gromit can mislead Kobe. Uh, I think Kobe is maybe too prone to double guessing, triple guessing Gromit's facial expressions. So I think Gromit might have the upper hand here.
and I think the fact that Gromit is a mute competitor. We talked about this before, but it's just like just the fact that a few of these characters either never talk or rarely talk, like in the case of Tom. It's just like it's makes for a very interesting play with them. But we'll see how that goes. But yes, I think specifically in the case of Gromit with his muteness, I think that helps him immensely in a competition like this, where it's like trying to psych out Kobe, like trying to make him guess the wrong thing. It's like just Kobe trying to understand like what he's even saying. It's like I think he can play up like being confused a bit. But so yeah, I think Gromit is our first HOH winner, meaning that not only him, but the Tortoise, Monroe, Tom, Edcock, and Isambard Kingdom Burnell are all immune this week, meaning that Gromit's potential nominees for elimination are between Kobe, Ronald McDonald, Donald Duck, Mr. Magoo, Speedy Gonzalez, and Winnie the Pooh. And so at this point, Gromit is going to have the opportunity to take some time to like decide who he wants to nominate. And in this time, we can also try and figure out like where are the alliances kind of sorting out, like what personalities are drifting towards each other, who's drifting again, like who's isolating people and whatever. And the first thought I have for this is I think Monroe is going to take really strongly to Winnie the Pooh. I think
Yeah,
just the teddy bear. Monroe is scared. He does not want to be here. Nobody believes him, and he just sees this living teddy bear. He is going to cling onto that thing for dear life.
Yeah, these two will become friends for life, or at
Mhm.
least until Monroe's grown up.
Yeah. It's just like even if one of them is it if Winnie the Pooh gets eliminated, Monroe will lose all will to live.
Yeah, he will just cry and cry and cry.
Yeah. Uh Outside of this, I part of me wants to say that there might be a bit of like tribalism, I guess might be the word for it, with like the brains versus the bronze
Yeah.
ones, but at the same time,
I don't think there's gonna be a clear divide because I totally see Ronald and Donald clashing with each other.
Ronald and Donald.
It's
Yeah.
just two big egos clashing with each other.
I definitely think Ronald is going to be a bit on the outs. I think that Mr. Magoo is going to end up being a bit of a floater, just like, and floater just means like a person who isn't really part of any major alliance, and nobody ever really targets them either, just because they're such a non-competitor. Floater can have multiple connotations, some positive, some negative, but I think Mr. Magoo is just going to kind of be his own guy, doing his own thing. And but yeah, part of me is curious about like what the likes of Tom are going to be drifting towards. Who's Donald Duck going to be drifting towards? Like, what is everybody's winning strategy here for those who want to strategize?
Yeah, there's several strong personalities here. I mean, Isambard Kingdom Brunel is clearly thinking of himself as the main character on the show.
Mhm. Yeah.
So he'll probably try to find some people. I can see Isambard Kingdom Brunel recruit Tortoise as second in command because Tortoise is a bit slow and would need someone to cling to, maybe, but he's also someone you would want to have on your side because you know he's got brains. So I can see Isambard Kingdom Brunel and Tortoise form some kind of alliance. Um,
And I think Gromit, like I first of all, I agree that like is embarking the burnout. I think he's going to be a bit egotistical when it comes to this. I think he's going to want to position himself as a person of power, maybe even intentionally like put a target on himself just to see if that he can still live despite being targeted. And it's just like, but yeah, I could definitely see like him like appreciating like the wisdom of the tortoise. I'm wondering about Gromit. I'm wondering, is he going to try and like undervalue himself, like try and make himself seem like a weaker competitor than he actually is? Or is the fact that he won this first competition going to be like too big of a giveaway and he's just going to kind of like be openly like a genius dog?
I think Gromit is used to being seen as someone who's undervalued, as someone who is seen as a second in command, even although he is really steering everything. I think Gromit knows how to make it appear as if someone else doing doing all the thinking or all the doings that he in fact is doing. I think Gromit can play this quite strategically and make himself appear as less of a competitor than he actually is, even if he's winning the first round in his head of household.
And another thing I'm thinking is like we haven't fully sorted out like alliances and stuff, but I think Isambard is going to try and get in Gromit's ear immediately and try and strategize with him about like who he should nominate, he should put up. And it's just like I'm not sure if Gromit will be listening to Isambard, but I could definitely see him try to steer Gromit in his direction. And I think
Yeah.
and I think beyond that, I think Gromit will see this and maybe accept it for now. Like lean into these suggestions, try to make Isambard maybe think that he has control over Gromit. It's like use that against him and like just keep that as a tool in his back pocket for whenever he
Yeah.
needs it the most. But yeah, so we have Monroe and Winnie the Pooh are in alliance. I think this IKB, Gromit, and Tortoise triangle we have here could be something good. And I'm imagining like Mr. Magoo, Ronald McDonald, and Ed Cock are a bit freeform. They're not going to lean to anyone's side or anything. They're just there to have a good time. I'm well, although Ronald McDonald is going to be a bit of a nuisance. Do we think that Donald Duck's going to pair up with anybody? Is Speedy Gonzalez going to pair up with anybody? Actually, I think Speedy and Kobe might get along. I
Yeah,
don't
they
know
could be
why, but I
friends.
think they're just both very athletic characters. I think they'll the Big Brother house does have like a little gym, basketball court, kind of like rec area. It's like the that's one of the few things you can do for fun. And there's also like a chessboard or whatever. Or and it's like so I think they're going to be out there outside just palling around. I think they could be a very strong duo.
Yeah. Yes, they could. I also see Adcock and Mr. Magoo just hanging out together.
True.
Maybe not in the sense of an alliance, but just no one else is really eager to talk to either of them, so they just happen to be
Yeah,
like
I get you.
like when people pick teams and they say just pick your partner and everyone grabs one person and then Adcock and Mr. Magoo are the two people who no one has picked and they're just looking around and say, oh, apparently it's the two of us now.
Hmm. And as I'm seeing these people pair off, I'm also seeing Tom and Donald Duck part seeing them both like kind of be out here like I think they could pair up too. I I don't know what it is. I think they're both characters who are a bit mischievous, a bit scheming, and I think they could be drawn to each other. It's just like they
Yeah.
and it's like I think they're both thinking that down the line they're definitely going to backstab each other, but for now they can use each other to get a bit
Yeah,
ahead. And it's just like I think they could make a good duo for now.
I think so too.
All right, so now that we have these alliances sorted out, or maybe not alliances, but just personality pairings, who is Gromit going to be nominating between Kobe, Speedy, Donald Duck, Winnie the Pooh, and I think it was Ed Cock. Oh no, Ronald McDonald was the other one.
Yeah.
And I think Ronald McDonald might be an easy pick, but
Yeah,
at the
he's an
same
obvious pick, actually.
but at the same time, like something like this happens where it's just, actually we'll have him nominated, but I think there's room to turn things around, we'll say. But yeah, we'll get there when we get there. But who's the other nominee here? Like, who is going to go up against Ronald here? And
I don't think it's gonna be Winnie the Pooh because Gromit knows he would make himself. He knows that Winnie has a winning personality, and he would make himself unpopular by putting him on the line.
I think Gromit is also just a softie a little bit. He has,
Yeah,
and I think he just likes Winnie the Pooh. I think And I think part of me wants to say that he might go after Kobe because he is such an obvious threat. He was second
yeah,
place in the HOH competition. But at the same time, I think he might have maybe a little bit of respect, I guess, for getting that far, for putting up a worthy challenge. So I think he might instead put up Speedy Gonzalez.
yes. That's just who I wanted to say. I almost said Donald, but I think no. Speedy Gonzalez seems like someone. Yeah, he also if especially if Speedy is in alliance with Kobe, he could hurt Kobe by putting up Speedy, Kobe's alliance instead.
Hmm. Yeah, this feels like a good lineup. So Ronald, McDonald, and Speedy Gonzalez are Gromit's nominees. So that means we move into the our first veto competition. And so, like I was saying earlier, the veto competition is a chance for is the one chance the other house get to potentially change the nominees so that the HOH doesn't have total and complete power over the week. And who competes in the competition is not the entire house, but only 6 competitors, at least until we get to less than 6 people in the house. The competitors are the HOH, the 2 nominees, and then 3 randomly selected contestants. So let me just get that sorted out. Ronald, Speedy, and Gromit. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other competitors. Who is going to be in it? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Tortoise is going to compete. Kobe is going to compete. Monroe is going to compete.
But he's only 4.
He's only 4. Gromit, Monroe, Tortoise, Kobe, Ronald, and Speedy are going to compete in from A to Z, 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 Z. The veto players must stay awake as long as possible. Last one awake wins. Very simple.
Such a shame Mr. Magoo isn't here.
Such a shame. But yeah, I really like the idea of this competition, and just because one, it's very drawn out, but also I don't know. I just like and it's also something I don't think I've really seen on Big Brother before. Like there's similar ones where it's like there's this infamous one called the pressure cooker, where all the contestants have to hold down a button as long as they can, and it's one of the longest competitions they've ever done. And it's just like the longest person standing, the longest person still holding their button wins. And this is a very similar kind of thing. And so, who's going to be able to stay awake the longest? Definitely not Monroe.
No.
Definitely not Tortoise.
Yeah.
We have Gromit, Ronald, Speedy, and Kobe.
I want to
And
say Speedy Gonzalez.
I was also thinking Speedy just because he is a very, although I think maybe because he is so active, he also wears himself out quickly. Like I feel like he's a person who like has a very short sleep and awake cycle where it's just like he's only probably he's
Yeah, that could be as well.
so Gromit, Ronald McDonald, or Kobe Bryant. I'm kind of thinking Ronald. I don't know why.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's Gromit. So it's between Ronald and Kobe.
I think maybe just for the drama's sake.
Yeah, and just
But
because Ronald is a psychopath.
I think yeah, because he is just so fucking insane. And also McDonald's does serve coffee.
Yeah,
He might be able to keep
yeah,
himself awake.
agreed.
So
Ronald wins this one.
Ronald is able to save himself even though nobody likes him.
Yeah,
And he knows it. He knows, like, once he saw himself on the block, he's just like, oh, I'm the villain of this house. I am going to make y'all hate me, and I'm going to make sure you hate me even more. And so he, of course, out of sheer spite, he wins this veto competition. And of course, he uses the power of veto to take himself off the block. And so that means that Gromit must choose another nominee. And again, the brain competitors are still all immune from being in the from being put up on the block. So we just have Kobe, Winnie the Pooh, and Donald Duck, and Mr.
Mr.
Magoo.
Magoo.
Yes. I think this is a tough choice for Gromit here.
Yeah,
And part of me thinks I don't think he wants to put up Kobe still. Well,
no.
I
I
think he might go Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, because Mr. Magoo is basically kind of safe one to pick. I mean, he's not a threat to win, but he's also not making anyone mad for putting up Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, I that definitely sounds right. Speedy Gonzalez and Mr. Magoo. And now here's the question. Who do these people vote out? It's just like Speedy Gonzalez is the clear threat here, but also I think
Yeah.
he's maybe a lot more liked in the house. And the exact opposite, Mr. Magoo. He doesn't even know where he really is, but at the same time, why waste votes on Mr. Magoo now when
Yeah.
he's not going to be a threat down the line?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of, I think the players, the ones who really are here to play the game, except possibly Kobe, who's aligned with Speedy,
Hmm.
will probably think it doesn't make much sense to vote out Mr. Magoo so early because Mr. Magoo, let's face it, Mr. Magoo is not going to win this thing.
Exactly. He's definitely not going to win. But
A- And Speedy Gonzalez, who seems, if you look at the contestants, like an obvious frontrunner, a chance to vote him out so quickly.
this, I think it's very easy, Speedy, but I want to get the votes out.
Yeah.
Just get like an exact vote count. So Gromit votes Speedy.
Yeah.
Tortoise votes Speedy, as does IKB. Their little unit holds strong. Ed Cock votes Speedy because he loves Mr. Magoo.
Yes.
Kobe, I
Votes Mr. Magoo.
even so part of me thinking Kobe might know that uh might understand that Speedy is going to be easily voted out. Something that happens often is where if you can sense the house going one way, you just vote with it just to not like out yourself as like a person
Do
who's
do
on
the
the
other
other.
contestants know how every individual is voting?
No, but
Okay.
of course you can sense like when you see Mr. Magoo and Speedy Gonzalez are nominated, you can probably at least think about, oh, Speedy is the big competitor. Everybody's probably going to be voting Speedy
I still think Kobe is gonna vote Mr. Magoo just
just out
because,
of loyalty.
yeah.
Okay. Winnie the Pooh. I don't know how he votes. Same with Monroe. I
It
don't
is
know.
yeah. Isn't Bud King Brunel's gonna vote Speedy?
Oh yeah, I already had it. I could be, but Monroe and Winnie the Pooh, I'm not sure about.
Yeah. I could
Uh
say Mr. Magoo accidentally voting for himself. Is that are they
oh,
not voting at all?
I should have established. I need to take out Gromit because the HOH doesn't vote either. But yeah, the
Okay.
nominees don't vote and the HOH does not vote. So yeah, Tortoise, IKB, and Ed Cock are voting Speedy, Kobe voting Mr. Magoo, Donald Duck and Tom, where do we think they vote? I
Um,
think they also vote out Speedy.
yeah, definitely. Both.
I think it might be just everybody versus Kobe on this vote. I like even Monroe and Winnie the Pooh. I just don't think. I think they like Mr. Magoo more than Speedy
I
just
mean,
because he's slower.
I mean,
They
it doesn't really matter because you need five votes to vote someone out. Because if not three people, then what you have nine people voting. You've got Tortoise, Donald, Tom, Isambard Kingdom Brunel, and Ed all voting for Speedy.
yeah, but
So
it's nice to get the votes like to see who's voting where.
Ronald is voting out Speedy.
Ronald's voting about like everybody except Kobe, I think, is voting Speedy.
Yeah, and Monroe and Winnie the Pooh are not very passionate, but maybe
I think they just like Mr. Magoo more and want him to stay. That's what my
yes.
thought is.
Yeah, I don't see them voting out Mr. Magoo. Yes, so it's an 8-1 for Mr. Magoo to stay and Speedy Gonzalez to go out.
Which is a almost surprising kind of vote. Oh, but he just couldn't stay awake long enough. That's
Yeah,
and Ronald McDonald won out. That's how it goes sometimes. And so we move Speedy Gonzalez over to the eliminated contestants part, and then week two begins. And I'm just gonna, I have a little like fake cork board thing here where I have all the contestants listed out in some different parts of the board. So I'm just going to rearrange everybody into their different alliances real quick. Oh, and Ed Cock is all alone now. For him. Oh wait, no,
No,
he's not. Kobe's
he's
alone. That's
still
right.
with Magoo.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
Kobe has no alliance at the moment.
and Kobe is in a rough spot right now because he made himself a very clear competitor, but at the same time, no one is on his side. And into this next week, he's going to be gunning for this HOH competition. Secondly, he's going to be trying to get more people on his side. But before that, we got the competition. And this one is a close shave. The contestants are all standing on small platforms, and they must duck below a rotating beam, which looks like a razor blade, that gets lower and lower. If either foot leaves a platform at any point, the contestant is out. Last one standing wins. And I'll also say that last week's HOH is not eligible to compete, so Gromit sits out of this competition.
Yeah.
And
I
so
mean, it's obvious that Mr. Magoo is winning this one. Avoiding danger is avoiding danger without even noticing is pretty much what he does. So I think he's winning this.
I really like that train of thought. However, this was one of the few competitions when I was writing it that I had a winner in mind, and that was Monroe, because
Because he's the
he is
shortest of
so
them.
short. And I forgot about Speedy Gonzalez, so it kind of worked out that he got eliminated round one and wasn't in this competition. But yeah, he doesn't have to do anything. He just stands there, and for most people, it's just too low for them to get under it before it even gets to Monroe's height. Except
Yeah.
maybe IKB, but I don't know. But as you said, Mr. Magoo is
And
also
Mr.
very short.
He's very short and he always avoids danger without even trying to noticing it.
This is tough for me. And also Winnie the Pooh. He's a teddy bear, but I think he's just kind of
Yeah,
clumsy.
yeah, but
He'll
he's
just fall off on his
clumsy.
own.
Yeah, he can, I don't think you don't even need the blade to get Winnie the Pooh off his
Like
stool.
he just jumps off at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Monroe or Mr. Magoo, which either one of them being the HOH is just very funny to me. Um, I I truly
I
I
think,
think we can give it to Mr. Magoo. I like your
yeah,
points about him just naturally avoiding danger.
yeah.
So, Mr. Magoo is our HOH. Very funny to have the senile old man be HOH, but then again, Mr. Magoo is reminding me a lot of Gerry from Big Brother 10, who is the oldest competitor in the show's history, and he made it to the final three for similar reasons why Mr. Magoo stayed in round one, just because no one thought of him as a very serious threat. But also, he's one of the most dramatic contestants on the show. Like one of my favorite moments is like after somebody like backstabbed him by voting out like one of his allies, he called them Judas. And it's just like he kept calling him Judas the entire season up to the finale when Judas won. And he voted for Judas. He voted for Judas to win. But anyway,
Okay.
it was a unanimous decision. But anyway, Dan Giesling, we love you. Anyway, uh Mr. Magoo is our HOH.
And
And
he doesn't know he is.
he does not know what this means. He does
Yeah.
not.
I have a feeling he's gonna nominate Ed Cock by mistake.
I think Adcock is gonna like try his best to let him know what he's doing here. Like bro, you
So,
gotta
eh,
not.
yeah, yeah. I guess it is probably Ed Cock is gonna steer Mr. Magoo to doing this. So it's really Ed Cock deciding who's gonna be nominated.
True. I think it's gonna end up either being like whoever Mr. Magoo doesn't personally like, who thinks he's like or like disrespectful young whippersnappers or whatever, or it's just going to be just somebody completely random. But
Yeah.
before that, we have a fun little bonus competition here. We have a food competition. Uh, and these food competitions, uh, tip. So typically in Big Brother, there's this thing called have-nots, where each week, a few contestants are chosen to like have like just like sleep in a specific bedroom with terrible beds. They are forced to eat Big Brother slop, which is just like a nutritious sludge that does not taste good at all, that nobody likes to eat. But I didn't want to incorporate that into the season. But I do have this little food competition where uh the winner gets to eat, or the winners, I should say, they get to eat really great food for the week, and the losers do have that kind of restricted diet. But this is just for 1 week. It's just a little fun competition I wanted to put in. And if, but before we do that, uh, I'm going to divide the contestants randomly into teams, except for Mr. Magoo because he's the HOH. He is not going to compete. And so I'm going to just quickly divide them. Uh, bu- bu- bum. Let's see. I wish I could find a way to like talk while I'm doing this, but it's just like I can't have any interesting conversation. Christoph, do you have anything interesting to say?
How are you dividing them? Do you just
It's just kind of random. It's just like I have a little thing that's dividing them randomly here. Here, it's like
I
it's
mean
not gonna be by alliances or anything. It's just
I mean
uh,
I if I just put them in the list randomizer, I could tell you the teams that I have come up with. The randomizer comes up with for me.
I already got them randomized here. So we have on one team Monroe, Adcock, Tom, Isambard, Kingdom Brunel, and Gromit. The other side we have Ronald, Winnie the Pooh, Donald Duck, Kobe Bryant, and the Tortoise. Is
Can you same once again? I didn't write that along. You have team
oh
one is
Monroe, Adcock, Tom, IKB, Gromit.
okay, and team two is the other ones.
Ronald, Winnie, Donald, Kobe, Tortoise. And Mr. Magoo is exempt. So, the competition we have here is nibbles. In different rounds, one member of each team is given a disgusting plate of food and must eat as much as they can in 1 minute. Most food eaten wins that round, or if both contestants finish their food, whoever finished first wins. At the end of the competition, whichever team won the most rounds wins a feast, while the losers have a restricted diet. So, and I'm just going to pair them off in the order I listed them originally. So first, and I didn't write out like specific foods they were going to be eating because I just didn't think to do that. But when it comes to just generally disgusting plates of food, Monroe versus Ronald McDonald is our first competitors.
That's so obvious.
Very
Children are
obvious.
picky eaters, and Ronald is used to McDonald's food, so this is very obvious.
Yeah. Next, we have Winnie the Pooh versus Ed Cock. I think Ed wins this. Winnie the Pooh
Yeah,
only likes honey.
exactly.
Tom versus Donald Duck is an actually interesting
Oh,
competition. I think, ooh, Donald
mm.
maybe? I don't think
I,
he's a very,
I, I'm more leaning towards Tom. Uh, cats are omnivores, and I don't think ducks are.
I'm trying to, yeah, they are both animals, and it's just like animals have weird diets. So it's like, well, I'm gonna skip them for now and see if it makes a
Yeah,
difference. IKB versus Kobe Bryant. Again, these are just two guys. It's hard to really,
yeah. But I believe Kobe is more of a competitor, so I think
but then again,
IKB.
IKB is British. He already eats terrible food.
Yeah, but I still think
I think Kobe would. I think you're right
yeah,
that Kobe might just eat faster.
yeah, he's just has more of a competitive spirit. He's just gulping down whatever's put in front of him.
And on that note, going back to Tom and Donald, I think Donald's a bit more voracious, especially when it comes to food. I
That's
think that's a
true.
big part of his character. So I think Donald wins that. And then Gromit versus Tortoise.
I mean,
Gromit
it's if
is
it's a
not.
speed competition, then
Yeah. So 3-2, we have Ronald, Winnie the Pooh, Donald Duck, Kobe, and Tortoise winning the competition,
yeah.
while Monroe, Ed, Tom, IKB, and Gromit lose. So, uh, I'm not sure if this might affect the competition later if we want it to, but maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I thought it was just a fun little competition to put in. Maybe it was just because I saw the name Nibbles among the nominees. It was just like, let's just make a food competition here. But anyway, just going to put these back in their spots. And then there we go. Oh. So now we need to figure out who is Mr. Magoo and Edcock voting or putting up for nomination. I think Ronald McDonald has to go up again. I
Yeah,
think still nobody likes him. But actually, I think what we need to discuss first is what Kobe is doing now that he's lost his closest ally. Like, what is he going to try and get in with any of these groups? Maybe trying to make more plans because, like, I think he's going to be one of the more strategically
he
minded.
is strategic, so he's probably trying to form a bond with Gromit because he sees Gromit as a powerful player, and he also sees that Gromit has spared him from being up for a nomination, so he maybe sees a path to forging a bond with Gromit.
I definitely see that. I think Kobe can kind of get in with IKB and Tortoise, but at the same time, I think maybe Kobe and Gromit might be even get closer to Kobe than he does to IKB.
Yeah,
And I
like,
think,
and Gromit can juggle both at the same time.
yeah. And I think so. Something that's very common in Big Brother is for two contestants to form a final two together. And I think Gromit and Kobe are aiming for that. I think they're aiming to be a final two together. They're just two competitive minded people who want a fair and even competition. And I
Yeah,
think they want to get there together and see who the best competitor is. I like that. I really like that. But yeah, and I think yeah, and I think they're also going to try and keep this on the down low. Like even if uh like IKB and Tortoise might like not view Kobe Bryant as somebody they need to get out immediately, I think there's still a bit of a block here. But so anyway, Ronald McDonald is getting nominated again because nobody likes him still. Uh, who are they nominating
I
alongside him?
I could see them also nominate Monroe because Ed realizes that Monroe wants to get out.
Maybe. I think maybe Mr. Magoo sees that actually. Even
Yeah,
though I think that's the one thing he can see. I think he can
yeah,
understand emotional distress. And I think he's one of the few people who sees Monroe for who he is and lets him be nominated, tries to get him out of the dang house.
yeah.
But I still think everybody's going to vote for Ronald if he stays on the block.
I'm not sure. I could actually see Monroe getting enough pity from at least some of the competitors to do him the favor of voting him out.
Ronald McDonald and Monroe are our nominees, which leads us to our competition. So, Mr. Magoo and the two nominees are in the veto competition. Who are the other competitors? We have Tom, Winnie the Pooh, and Gromit. Okay. Tom, Winnie the Pooh, Gromit, Ronald Monroe, Mr. Magoo. Very interesting competition lineup we have here.
Yeah,
And and our competition is this way up. Each contestant has a series of wooden crates, each one shut very tight, and each one containing a puzzle piece. Contestants must pry open each box and then solve the puzzle within. Fastest time wins. Gromit,
yeah. No
easily.
contest. No contest.
Like he's very like he probably opens a bunch of crates all the time and he's great at puzzles. It's
Yeah.
no brainer. Oh my
L
God.
look at fast how he got the tracks of the train in front of him.
hmm So yeah, so Gromit gets the power of veto, and does he use it?
I don't think he does. I think he'll gonna let us play out.
I think so. I think Mr. Magoo explains why he put Monroe on the block. I think he explains that he sees somebody who does not want to be there. And I think Gromit, after hearing Mr. Magoo explain that, I think finally sees Monroe for who he is and leaves him on the block to
Yes.
ensure. But also, that actually puts up a thing where does he maybe take Ronald off the block to ensure that like they don't like Monroe doesn't have an actual threat or like somebody less pleasing on the block next to him, just so we can ensure Monroe gets out.
That's a good thought. That's a good thought. But who do they put up again instead?
Winnie the Pooh?
Yes, and I think Winnie would actually be willing to do it because Winnie sees that his friend is sad as well,
All right.
and everyone in the house knows that it only happens to ensure that Monroe is actually getting out.
All right. So I'm going to write. I do like this, but I feel like it's done a bit begrudgingly because this means Ronald McDonald stays another week, despite the
Yeah,
fact that everybody hates him.
yeah. Everybody except the producers. They are so happy that Ronald stays around.
Like there are dedicated fan accounts to him already. Like everybody is living for the drama that is Ronald McDonald, but also half the viewers hate him because he is so loud and annoying.
Yeah.
So yes. So for a second week in a row, Ronald McDonald gets the veto used on him. And Winnie the Pooh is going up against Monroe. And
And
I
it's
feel
anonymous. It's
yeah,
anonymous.
it is yeah. So how many it'll be 8-0
Yes.
for Monroe. Well, we liked you while you lasted, Monroe, even though you probably shouldn't have never been here.
Yes.
All right. And that brings us to week 3, only 10 house guests remaining. And, and of course, Mr. Magoo cannot play in the next HOH competition. Winnie the Pooh is left without a close ally, but at the same time, I feel like he doesn't need one. But also,
Yeah.
I feel like he might buddy up a little bit with Edcock and Mr. Magoo.
Yes, yes. The non-threats, the
Yeah,
non-threatening ones.
like a little like a little alliance of floaters here. And then
Yeah.
even though it's like the whole point of a floater is that they're not in an alliance. But anyway, uh our HOH competition this week is the 500 hats of Bartholomew Cubbins. Before the competition, the house guests were shown a series of pictures of Bartholomew Cubbins wearing different hats, and are then asked a series of true or false questions about the pictures they saw. Most questions correct wins. This is a memory competition. Who has the best memory? Even if Mr. Magoo was allowed to compete, he would not be winning
Yeah.
this. I think
Orders.
Tortoise. Okay.
I'm looking at them. It feels like Tortoise might be because this is not timed, and so I believe
Correct.
Tortoise has a good chance at winning this.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. It's just like we we might view him as a bit slow, but at the same time, it's like that's not an indicator of like tortoises have eternal memories. So I think I agree with you. I think we can have tortoise win this one. HOH tortoise.
Yeah,
And
and
so
Tortoise is aligned with Isambard Kingdom Brunel.
and Gromit and by kind of Kobe, though that's more of
Yeah.
a Gromit thing. Uh, does he try to get Ronald
N- I,
McDonald
I'm
out again?
I'm not sure that Isambard is realizing that Gromit is also aligned with Kobe. So
Yeah, I
maybe
think
is
they're trying to keep that down low, maybe.
yeah.
So we'll leave Kobe there. Uh, I I think again, IKB is going to try and maybe manipulate Tortoise a little bit into getting out the threats that he wants.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
another, oh, go ahead.
Ronald is gonna get nominated because there's no way, and everyone hates him. So whoever is up there, even Tortoise, who's very likable and friendly, realizes that Ronald is the one who is the most annoying person in the house, and everyone would feel better if he wasn't there.
And also, I feel like at this point, Ronald's kind of bragging about like, "Oh, go ahead, dominate me. I'm not even gonna get out anyway. I'm gonna get that veto again."
Yeah.
I don't know why that's the voice I went with. I don't think he even sounds like that in the short. It's kind of a Chucky thing or whatever that I was going for. I don't know. But something I want to think about is that Donald Duck and Tom, I kind of established as people who are going to try and do big moves. They're a bit of schemers, but at the
Yeah.
same time, they haven't done a damn thing.
Yes.
They haven't won anything. They've never been in any kind of power. And it's just like I feel like they have to be getting a bit antsy, but at the same time, I have no idea what they could be doing.
Yes. I think I think maybe Tom comes across as more conniving as Donald, so maybe Isambard would consider Tom more of a threat than Donald.
Maybe they do try to get in a bit with IKB because I
Yeah.
think they might recognize that he might be a bit of a power player, bit of a puppet master in this house. And I think it might backfire. I think IKB might see that they're trying to get with him, just being very unsubtle, being very undignified about it. And I think it might backfire. I think he might put Tom or Donald up against Ronald.
Yes. I if Tortoise is listening to Isambard, Isambard might probably try to put Kobe in because for Isambard realized that Kobe is his biggest threat he's not aligned with. But Gromit somehow, without talking, manages to convince Isambard that he would put too much of a target on himself if he's pushing Kobe forward, and someone like Tom or Donald would be a better target. So eventually they decide on either Tom or Donald, and
I
I
think
think
Tom.
I think Tom as well.
Yeah, so yeah, Tom and Ron McDonald are on the block. And this comes as a complete shock to Tom because I feel like he might have had what he thought was a very good conversation with IKB about like maybe potentially working together, but it's just like it did not go the way he thought it did. And both him and Donald are completely in shock. And I think maybe Donald is pissed, especially. I think this is the point where it's like we get some of that Donald anger, some great reality
Yeah.
television here. And I think it's like at the uh reveal of the nominees, we get just an absolute tirade from Donald, who isn't even nominated, but
Yes.
he's just what the he's mad on Tom's behalf. Oh man. But yes, so Tortoise, Ronald McDonald, and Tom Cat. We also have to pick a few people to go into the veto competition with them.
I just put the names in the randomizer and the result. I have a nice result that it came up with. So it's Gromit again, who has been in every competition so far, Donald, and Mr. Magoo.
Yes, but you don't decide who gets it. I do.
I'm trying to be the producer here.
I have my thing here, and
Okay.
and what you don't account for is house guest choice, which is a thing that happens with the veto competition sometimes. In there's I believe it's two different house guest choice ball. Well, and it's like I haven't been paying attention to who is picking each of these nominees, but for this one, because we got one, it landed on Tom. He gets to choose one of the other veto players. And Tom, of course, chooses Donald.
Yes.
Next, we have the second house guest choice ball that goes to Tortoise, though. And Tortoise chooses Gromit. I think
Yes.
he
I
wants
don't
to
think he
win.
chooses, he wouldn't pick Isambard because he thinks Gromit is the better player.
And then we have Kobe. This is a big competition here. Gromit, Kobe, Donald, Tom, Ronald, and Tortoise.
Yeah.
And the competition therein is kick me. Each house guest has a soccer ball and a goal. In a series of rounds, the house guest will try to kick their ball from a specific platform into their goal as fast as possible, with the last person each round being eliminated. And each round, the goal gets further and further away. Last person standing wins the veto. And before I we even talk about who gets to win this, I have a little random event here. I want you to pick one of these house guests, just randomly. One,
Adcock.
no, of the competitors, I mean.
Of these six. Donald.
Donald gets hit in the face of a soccer ball and is knocked out of the competition.
Oh dear.
I think what happens here is he kicks it with such force and like such imprecise angles, he somehow like bounces it off a wall and it just ricochets back into him.
Yeah. I
So,
can totally see it.
all right. So of the five remaining ones, I think
So
Kobe
is it just out of this competition or is it out of the entire show?
out of the
Like on
veto comp.
medical
He just needs to
okay.
take some leave. Donald's not dead.
Okay. I mean it could be that on medical grounds he gets removed from the show. It's
No,
not
no.
it's not that bad. Okay.
He's just unconscious briefly. Like
That's
he's
good.
but I think Kobe wins this.
Easily.
He's
Easily.
just an athlete. It's like, come on. So yeah, Kobe wins the veto. Does he save either? Uh,
He's not gonna
was it
save Ronald.
Ronald or Tom? No, of course not. Uh, although worth mentioning, even if you weren't the one removed from the block, if you win the power veto, you can't be put up. So like for if Kobe were to like remove one of them, Tortoise would not be able to put him up instead.
I mean, Kobe probably knows if he removes Tom, then Donald would be on the chopping block instead.
Yeah.
And I don't think Kobe also knows that even if Donald is knocked out at the moment, that would make Donald even more angry at him. And I don't think Kobe just doesn't want to spend the energy on having to deal with an angry Donald. So he probably would not use the power of veto.
Okay. So so yeah, I think that's a very easy no anyway. It's just I don't think it benefits Kobe's game at all in order to use the veto. So
Yeah.
so Tom and Ronald McDonald are still on the block, and Ronald is a bit in shock that he's still on the block because he just assumed he would always be removed.
Yeah.
But is this when we finally get rid of Ronald McDonald, or
I don't see anyone voting for Tom to be eliminated.
okay, it's like even though I feel like IKB is a bit annoyed with Tom, I think
Yeah.
they just everybody's hates living with Ronald. They're gonna get rid of him. I think it's a very easy unanimous vote, 7-0.
Yeah.
All right. All right. Now we're down to week 4. All right. The HOH competition is walking. The house guest must walk on a treadmill. The treadmill gets steadily faster and more inclined. Last one to stay on wins HOH. Tortoise is not competing.
He wouldn't win this anyway.
Yes, it is most certainly a win for Kobe.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at anyone else.
I
Not Mr. Magoo, not Winnie the Pooh, not Isambard, not Ed Cock.
I think
Gromit, Tom, I could see Donald. I think Donald is the last one that is eliminated before Kobe wins this.
mhm.
But
I think
yes,
Donald still has some rage in him, but also he is still kind of recovering. But
yeah. If he hadn't been hit by that soccer ball, then Donald might actually win this. But so like this, it's Kobe being HOH.
Kobe Bryant, and this is such a good bounce back for Kobe after such a early loss for him with the the eviction of Speedy Gonzalez, and so he is finally in power. and what Kobe has everything he wants, and he is going to think so, so hard about who the hell he's putting up
Oh
because
yeah.
this could change the future of the game. I think he needs to make a move here. I think, but who does he do? Does he put up Donald and Tom? Does he maybe take a shot at IKB?
I could see him take a shot at IKB.
I I like that. I think he even talks about it with Gromit, and I think
Yeah.
he's able to convince Gromit that this is the best play. Because like we said earlier, I think Gromit doesn't
Yeah.
really love
Because
IKB.
yeah, Gromit used IKB. Gromit used IKB very strategically, and in the previous round, since Gromit mentioned to convince Tortoise not to nominate Kobe, he sees that he doesn't need IKB to have a good relationship with Tortoise, and so I think Gromit knows that he doesn't need IKB, and he never liked IKB very a lot in the first place.
Hmm. So yeah, IKB is going up, but who goes up with him? Like this might be a good place to for usage of the pawn strategy where it's like you just put up somebody that's just totally not worth eliminating.
Yeah,
Just go for the big threat. And I think Mr.
Mr.
Magoo has
Magoo.
to be it. Yeah, just because he's been nominated before, he's just like he's fine with it. And I think Kobe
I
even
mean,
does.
he has been nominated before, wasn't he? He was up against Speedy
That's what I
Gonzalez
said.
in the first round.
He was nominated before.
Oh, okay.
Wait, no. But yeah, yes, he was. He was nominated against Mr. Magoo or Mr. Speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think even Kobe does the grace of talking to him about it before he does it, just like, hey, I'm gonna put you up, but it's just as a ploy to get out my actual target. And Mr. Magoo is just like, I have no idea what you just said, but I'm okay with
Yeah.
it. All right. So yeah, IKB and Mr. Magoo. And again, this is a total blindside to IKB. He probably goes directly to Gromit and vents to him about how betrayed he feels, how this is such a bad play, how we're going to get back at him, and it's like we're going to win the veto, and things like that. And so, okay, now it's time for the veto competition. Kobe, IKB, and Mr. Magoo are all here. And we gotta get the random generator. Okay. So first pick is IKB gets the house guest choice. He picks Gromit to go in the veto
Because he
competition.
thinks he has Gromit in his pocket.
He definitely thinks that. And then we have Tom is selected, and another house guest choice for Kobe. He picks. Who does he pick? Donald? Tortoise? Ed? Winnie?
I hmm. Oh, that's interesting. I think he
I
might
think he
pick.
picks Winnie the Pooh just for fun.
Yeah, it's either Winnie or Donald. Yeah.
But let's put Winnie in there
Yeah.
just for fun.
Yeah.
All right. So the veto competition is blindscape. The house guests are blind and must navigate their way around a room and find a medallion. When they find it, they must then find the exit of the room. Once all players have exited, the last person to leave the room reveals the prize that is written on their medallion. It could be a good or bad thing, and as each person reveals their prize, they have the option to swap their prize with one that is already revealed. So the last person to leave gets no options to swap their prize, while the winner gets free pick of the different prizes. Do you understand this? I understand it might be a bit
No,
complicated.
no, I
Okay.
don't understand it at all. I'm certain that Mr. Magoo is definitely the first one to exit the room, but
Oh
he
yeah.
doesn't understand the rules either.
So so the first part is just they each are wandering kind of blindly through the room, and they each grab a there's 6 different medallions in the room, and they each grab one and leave the room as quick as they can. And and
Mr.
so yeah.
Magoo is blind anyway, and he stumbles through these scenarios perfectly.
Anyway, I will. So we'll say Mr. Magoo leaves first, and then
Then Kobe,
okay. So Mr. Magoo gets that one.
second
Okay.
Kobe,
Second
third
Kobe.
third Gromit, fourth Tom,
Okay.
fifth
Kobe,
IKB, last Winnie.
Gromit, Tom, and Winnie. Okay. So IK or not IKB. Winnie the Pooh leaves it leaves the room last, and so he reveals his prize first, and he got the power of veto. But he has but he does not get to keep this along because of course multiple competitors are going to want this prize. So we move on to who came out next to last. Was that Tom or
That
IKB?
was IKB.
IKB. On his medallion, he got $5,000. But of course, he wants the power of veto instead, so he and Winnie swap prizes.
Even although he knows he's not gonna keep that.
Yeah, he's aware of that. But
Yeah,
he's still just like
he's desperate.
maybe he can find a way. Maybe they
Yeah,
will just let him have it.
yeah. He's increasingly desperate, and you see that he's desperate, and everybody else sees that he's desperate because IKB was imagining him to make it till the end, and he did not expect to be on the chopping block this early.
Okay, and then after that we have Tom, correct? Uh
Yeah.
Tom got Dream Doll, which is he must carry around with him a large human doll for 24 hours. Uh, Tom,
I,
of course, wants
Tom
to
picks
the
Tom
$5,000.
wants the money, yes.
Tom picks the $5,000. So Tom gets that. Winnie the Pooh is left with Dream Doll. And then after that was Kobe, I believe. Kobe got Life with Feathers. He must wear a feathery chicken costume for the whole week, and this will annoy Donald Duck most of all. Uh, Kobe does not want this. Is he going to try and get the power of veto?
He doesn't want IKB to end up with a perfect, so he's not taking it because he wants it, but he's taking it to take it away from IKB.
Just so he can ensure that IKB doesn't get it.
Yeah,
And
because also doesn't Gromit come before Kobe?
oh, maybe I was not totally listening to the order you were saying.
Okay, let's keep the order that you have because I, Kobe is aware that Mr. Magoo didn't understand the rules and might not be taking the power of Vita, so he's just taking the power of Vita away from IKB.
Yeah. And then after that, we have Gromit, who got Lend a Paw, which is not explained to the other guests, but is explained to Gromit. Or, well, actually, no. It will be explained to whoever wins it, but it's a secret power where the winner can use it at an eviction to give themselves an extra vote. And it's only valid through week 8. And so all the contestants know is that it's a secret power. And they don't know what exactly the power is, but it could be powerful. But we know that it means they get an extra vote.
Yeah, and Gromit is keeping that.
Gromit wants the power, and Kobe has the veto, so he doesn't feel the need. He doesn't need the $5,000, and he doesn't want
Yeah,
any of the punishments. So finally, we have Mr. Magoo, who has a letter from home, and I think he might want to keep that.
yeah. Even if he understood what it means, he would keep that.
Yeah, but yeah. So just to clarify, Kobe won the power of veto. Mr. Magoo got a letter from home. Tom got $5,000. IKB has to wear a feathery chicken costume for the whole week and gain the ire of Donald Duck. Winnie the Pooh has to carry a large human doll with him for 24 hours. And Gromit gets the secret power where he can get an extra vote at an eviction vote for 1 week only. And it has to be used before week 8, just to clarify. And this is week 4, week 8.
Mhm.
Okay. Glad we know how math works. So, all right. And Kobe does not use the veto, of
Yeah,
course.
because he chose the
He is
nominees.
the HOH after all.
Yeah.
He wants to keep his nominees the same. And it's like there is of course, the backdoor strategy where you can like get rid of a nominee, put your target up, but IKB is already up there. So it's still IKB and Mr. Magoo on the block. And I think what's going to happen here is I think IKB looks at the amount of votes here. And I think uh he thinks he can still win it because
Yeah.
he thinks he has Gromit and Taurus on his side. And I think he might try to make a deal with Tom again because now IKB is the one on the outs and it's just like, hey, remember when you tried to make a deal with me? And it's like, hey, want to get back at that? If you save me, I'll be on your side forever. But I think everybody is voting for IKB.
Except Tortoise. I think Tortoise might be voting to keep IKB because Tortoise is in alliance with IKB.
Okay, I think maybe Gromit doesn't let Taurus in on the plan just because I feel like he sees that Taurus
Yes.
might be a bit more aligned with him and to tell doesn't want IKB to find out that there's a plan against him. Uh, but I think Gromit at the very least tells Tomcat and Donald that everybody's voting against IKB. So
Yeah.
in a 5-1 vote, IKB is evicted from the Big Brother house.
And he is in utter disbelief.
He is so shocked. Julie Chen is waiting outside for him, and he does not want to talk.
Yeah.
But I have a bit of a twist to do before we move on to the next week. Every good season of Big Brother has a bit of a twist in here. And the twist I have is that I'm adding 4 more house guests to the house. Here, and I have Hare from the Tortoise and the Hare, Gerry from Tom and Jerry, Tigger from the Winnie the Pooh franchise, and Wallace from Wallace and Gromit. But they aren't just going to be added immediately into the house. They have to win their spot, and they are competing against the 4 eliminated house guests.
Oh,
Is this fun? Does this sound fun to you?
yeah. Are they competing them? So do the eliminated house guests have a chance to return?
Yes. Yes,
Oh,
it's like
good.
we are adding, like we're basically going back to 12 competitors. And so Speedy Gonzalez, Ronald McDonald, IKB, and Monroe all get the chance to come back, although Monroe is not going to be trying very hard in this competition.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Gerry, Tigger, Wallace, and Hare are all get the chance to join their friends, or at the very least, uh, I don't know how to describe Gerry and Tom's relationship, but they're sometimes friends, they're sometimes enemies. I think they're just kind of living together.
Yeah.
But yeah, they all are getting the chance. And the competition they have to do is second class mail. The house guests are in their own individual pile of envelopes. They must dig through them to try and find the singular envelope with their name on it. And the first 4 to find this envelope and place it in like a mailbox, which is across like a courtyard or whatever, place it in there, gets to go in. So the first 4 to do this wins. Speedy Gonzalez is going back in the house.
Definitely. Welcome back, Speedy Gonzalez.
Monroe is not winning this. Hare is going into the house.
Yes.
Gerry, Tigger, Wallace, IKB, Ronald McDonald.
Tigger is going into a house. Tigger is hyperactive.
But is he good at finding things?
That's right.
I think
Gerry is third, I would say.
Gerry probably gets in. So
And you know what? Ronald.
yeah,
Ronald is the fourth
I'm
one.
thinking IKB does not get in. I think I think Ronald might get it before Wallace does. I'm fine with Tigger getting in.
Ronald is not really aware that he should be doing this on speed. He's still trying to get in the groove of it.
Oh wait, so you're saying Ronald doesn't get it and Wallace
Oh,
does?
Ronald gets. Sorry, I want to say Wallace. Wallace
Okay.
does. Ronald takes his while.
Okay. And I think so in my imagining of it, it's like the house guests are aware of this competition, that this competition is happening, like right as it's about to happen, and they get to watch it. And I think Gromit is secretly hoping that Wallace does not get in, just because I think it's going to ruin his whole game. Like if
Yes.
and thankfully Wallace does not get it. Instead, we get Gerry.
This is going to be such a long episode. You might want to release it in 2 parts.
Maybe. We'll see how it ends up. Uh,
Okay.
but so yeah, we have Speedy Gonzalez, Gerry, Hare, and Ronald McDonald. And I think before we can allow them to even try to socialize or anything, we have to go straight into another competition. And this one is called Windy Day, which is known as a wall. It is going to be a wall competition. The contestants all have to hold onto a wall. Oh, and there is a very strong wind that blows in their face, blows them aside. The wall itself is shaking thing at times. Things are flying around into their face. It's just a pure endurance competition. So, of these now 12 competitors, house guests, who do we think has the longest endurance?
I'm
Tortoise.
just going to say Tortoise might be good. I could also see Donald having built so much anger inside him that he just gonna. And Donald is used to stuff just being thrown at him
Yeah,
and enduring nonetheless.
he hates the position he's been in this house, and through sheer force of will and
Yeah.
anger and spite, he is going to win this. And I don't think Tortoise has very good grip. So
Yes.
I think
Before Tortoise is even in the position, he's blown away.
maybe. But yeah, I think we can give this one to Donald. All right. So let's talk about who these four new competitors are going to try and buddy up with. Speedy Gonzalez is going up with his old pal Kobe. And I
Yes.
think he joins this alliance with Gromit. I'm
Yeah.
curious how Tortoise feels
I
though.
mean, Speedy is still a bit angry that he was put on the chopping block by Gromit.
Yes. But I think
But he's also enough of a player to respect the move.
I think yeah, Gromit and Speedy might be at a tentative alliance, but I think they're just both good with Kobe that they can make this work for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm curious how Tortoise is feeling about Gromit now because he was completely unaware about this whole plan to get out IKB.
Yeah.
He,
I mean, also on the one hand, Tortoise maybe realized that he couldn't rely on Gromit as much. Tortoise is the first one to really understand the game Gromit is playing here.
Mhm.
And he also suddenly is confronted with Hare, who is not a natural alliance for Tortoise, but a natural enemy for Tortoise. So Tortoise is feeling he's being pushed to the side here.
Yeah, he's definitely finding himself on the outs. Does he maybe go with Donald Duck and Tom? Does he try to get in with maybe Gerry or somebody? Does he
I mean, Gerry would naturally gravitate towards Speedy, wouldn't he?
maybe? I guess they are both mice, but maybe that's racist to assume. Part of me
They're
was
the
thinking,
same size.
part of me was thinking Gerry might like enjoy being with like Winnie the Pooh and Mr. Magoo. I always imagine with like a kind of childlike fascination, I guess.
Yeah,
But
but Gerry is also
he's also
very
an adult.
clever. Yeah, he's very clever.
I hmm.
I think Gerry would probably take himself back initially to see to get a full picture of who's aligned with who and who's strategizing how, and then would try to jump on someone where he would see as the strong alliance. So I think Speedy would try to get on to Gromit and Kobe
Yeah.
and Speedy.
Gerry, you mean, would try to get in with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did I say?
You said Speedy would try to get in with Speedy and
Okay,
Kobe.
yeah, Gerry. Yeah, and Ronald would just be as he was before his elimination.
Yeah, he is back and the house guests hate it. The audience loves it. It's 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 a time we're having. Um Hair, I see him really gravitating towards Donald and Tom. I think
Yes,
they're going to form a really nice trio here, especially since Donald just won.
yes.
He loves winners. Uh, but this, I, I'm not totally convinced that Gerry would go with the Kobe Gromit Speedy trio. I think we should like kind of what you were saying, where it's like he's still gauging where the world is. And I think he might even buddy up with Tortoise, who he sees is kind of alone, and like might try and take not take advantage of. That feels wrong, but
Yeah.
just
He
like
would also try to get Ed on his side because he knows that Ed is steering Mr. Magoo.
yeah, yeah. I don't think that's much of an active steering or anything. He feels more like a caretaker to me. But I don't know. I do just like the idea of Tortoise just drifting away from Gromit and going towards
Yeah,
Gerry because they're both kind of unsure of their positions in this house currently. And I think maybe some of these alliances could reach out to them to try and get them back, like Gromit try and make peace with Tortoise, or maybe Hare, Donald, and Tom try and get with Gerry or Tortoise. But for now, I think they're still kind of on the outs for now, but not as out as Ronald McDonald is.
yeah.
But yeah, so Donald Duck is the HOH. Who is he targeting? I think
I
he's
think
going for Kobe.
he, I think he wants to make a power move. I would say I could see actually Donald nominating Gromit.
Gromit and Kobe.
Yeah, that's it. Donald enjoys his position of power, and Donald knows that Gromit and Kobe are the two most powerful people here, so he's putting Gromit and Kobe on the line.
Absolutely. He sees that they are the biggest threats, and it was a mistake to lose that wall competition, and he is going to make them pay for it. It's,
Yeah.
he also might be going a little crazy after the head injury. Who knows? And I think his target might be Kobe, just because he was the one who did nominate Tom.
Yeah. But you know what? If in the end Gromit is getting voted out, Donald doesn't mind that either. He
Yeah, well,
just Donald wants to establish himself as a power player.
I think either of them could be the one going home, depending on how
Yeah,
we talk about
and
these votes.
and also Donald doesn't care if he's putting a target on himself by that because he's not thinking that far ahead. It's just in a moment of anger, he's just saying, "Gromit, Kobe, one of you's getting out."
All right. So let's figure out who else is playing in the veto competition. We have Tortoise. We have Tom. And we have Mr. Magoo. So Donald, Kobe, Gromit, Tortoise, Tom, Mr. Magoo. What
None
a
of the
lineup.
return, no returning on new players here. That's interesting.
Interesting. Okay. So on our competition here is ice merchants. The house guests must one by one push an ice block along an ice rink, aiming at a target. The house guest who is furthest from the target is eliminated. Last house guest standing wins. So it's basically curling, and whoever is furthest from the target is eliminated, and round by round, we eventually have one person left standing. I think this is a pretty even competition here.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody here who is going to be naturally good or naturally bad at it. Like even
Well,
Mr.
Mr.
Magoo.
Magoo.
No, I think even Mr. Magoo might.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's right. Yeah, you're right. I would throw Mr. Magoo as being naturally bad.
I think Donald Duck isn't winning this. I
No,
th
he's one of the first people out because he's just too overconfident in shoving the ice block away.
I you know I think Kobe and maybe even Gromit just don't appreciate the good sport of curling. I think that's more of an old man's game. I think maybe Tortoise or Mr. Magoo has a more natural affinity for it.
Yes, yes, I could see Tortoise winning this actually.
Do we want Tortoise to win this?
We want Tortoise to win this, and we know what Tortoise is going to do.
Tortoise, I
It's
think,
removing Kobe
is
because
removing Kobe as like he feels so betrayed by Gromit and wants to get him out.
yes,
Like he fully sees Gromit's potential as a player and he wants the house to realize this.
yes,
So yeah, Tortoise wins the veto. He uses it on Kobe. Who does Donald Duck put in Kobe's place? Ronald? No. I think Donald does he is thinking about like trying to get Gromit
yeah,
out. And so I think he puts up either Winnie the Pooh or Mr. Magoo or maybe even Ed just as a pawn in order to get out Gromit.
yeah. I think I didn't think I think even Donald wouldn't put Winnie the Pooh up because
Yeah.
even Donald likes Winnie the Pooh so much that and Donald knows if he puts up the pawn might be at danger of being eliminated because Gromit is a powerful player.
hmm
So
I
it's
think
Mr. Magoo or Ed.
I think Ed. I think he also
Yeah.
enjoys Mr. Magoo, and I think it's just like maybe Ed is starting to get on his nerves a little bit. Just singing that fucking New York
Yeah.
parody over and over again. It's just like it's not Ronald McDonald levels, but I think it's just like Ed's harmless. So we have Gromit and Ed on the block, and now I think this is going to be a tough vote here.
Oh yes, this is going to be close.
So I
So
think
Kobe is voting for Ed.
Kobe, and he's also able to
Yeah,
get
and speaks.
Speedy on his side. T
Yes.
Tortoise is voting for Gromit. Tom is
Yeah.
voting for Gromit. Hare is voting for Gromit just because he's following his new friends around.
Yeah.
Um, do we have Winnie and Mr. Magoo voting for Gromit just because they know Ed?
Well, let's just see. Ronald is voting for Gromit because Ronald sees himself as a power player, and getting Gromit out is the powerful move.
Or is he an agent of chaos and wants to get rid of Ed? I think Gerry votes with Tortoise, though. I think Gerry votes for Gromit at least.
Yeah, I think this is a landslide for Gromit to be eliminated, isn't it?
I I'm not total. Oh, actually, yeah, I was saying that Mr. Magoo and Winnie both vote for Gromit. I
Yeah.
think,
So
but also,
Kobe and Speedy are the only ones voting for Ed to be eliminated.
yeah, I think so. And part of me wants to say that maybe like Gromit tells Kobe and Speedy not to vote for Ed just to try and hide their relationship so they don't like draw the ire of the house more, even though Kobe's already drawing the ire of Donald Duck. Um, at the very least, Speedy, I think, is able to see like where the tide's flowing, and he also votes for Gromit just to
Yeah,
try and blend in the house a bit more.
yeah. So in a shocking twist, Gromit is eliminated.
Yeah, nobody wanted this to happen, but it was the only way, and 8-1 vote.
Yeah.
Gromit 8-1. Damn. And yeah, he
Wow. I I was certain that in the end, Gromit would make it to the end, and I'm shocked myself, but there's no alternative to Gromit being eliminated here.
It's just how the tide turned. It's just what happened. And
Just because Donald was head of household.
just because Donald, through sheer anger, held onto that wall.
Yeah.
But now, Kobe and Speedy are like they're in their own undisputed alliance once again.
Yeah.
We got, I think, Tortoise and Gerry are kind of a thing still, maybe.
Yes.
Uh, of course, we have Donald Hare and Tom who are riding high this first victory of theirs, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and Ronald is there. Ronald is
Ron, yeah, and so are Ed and Mr. Magoo.
yeah, Ed, Mr. Magoo, and Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. And everybody loves Winnie because Winnie is just just as a joyful presence in the house, and everyone just is happy to be in the presence of Winnie.
Hmm. But yes, so we move on to the next week, week 6. There's 11 house guests remaining, and we go into our next HOH comp, which is Gone Nutty. Donald Duck is not allowed to compete, and so the house guests all roll an acorn down a ramp and launch it into a field of tree stumps, and each tree stump has a different point value. The house guest the house guest with the acorn in the highest value spot wins HOH. So it's basically just aim and launching things. It's a little random because it's hard to really judge the catapult or the ramp. Uh, but yeah, who do we think wins this? I don't think it's much of a strategy thing, so I don't think it's
Yeah.
like anybody has a strong advantage here. We could just
It
kind of randomly pick one.
it's probably quite random. I just put all the names in a randomizer, and the first one on the list is Tom. So I'm gonna say Tom wins this.
Let's see. What does my randomizer say? Uh, I also get Tom actually.
Okay, so
Tom wins.
Tom wins.
This is a very good turnout for Donald and Tom and Hare.
Yeah.
Ooh, they are suddenly the big power players like they always dreamed of being.
Yes.
And
Does Tom put Gerry on the line?
ooh, does he put Gerry on there? I think,
Or
you
does
know,
he think that Gerry might be useful to him later? And I mean, they are these kind of frenemies that,
here's an idea. Tom does put Gerry on the line, but it's to hide the fact that they're secretly working together. Because I think they both realize that
that
they are
Ronald
going
has
to
to
this
get
house,
out.
that that they both realize that everybody thinks of them as natural rivals. So wouldn't the big surprise be that they were secretly working together this whole time
Yeah, and he's putting Gerry on the line, but he's putting it against Ronald because he knows everybody would vote Ronald out.
against Ronald? I I think Tom might be a little bit too ambitious to just go for Ronald though. Like we just got a Gromit, sure, but does he want
But
to aim
if
for
it,
Kobe next?
yeah, but I mean, if Tom puts Gerry on the line, but is secretly aligned with him, it would have to be against someone who Tom is certain Gerry is gonna beat. And he knows Kobe is powerful and has alliances, so there's a chance that if he puts Gerry on the line against Kobe, that Gerry is getting voted out.
But
And this
Co-
will weaken his own position.
but Kobe doesn't really have much power in the house anymore. Like he lost Gromit. He just has Speedy right now. Oh, and he's
Yeah.
like, and there's
But
a few
he has a winning personality.
true. Like he is very
And
charismatic. He could probably,
the OG players know Kobe and probably like Kobe.
oh yeah,
So
more than Gerry.
yeah. I don't think that Winnie the Pooh is voting Kobe out if he over Gerry.
Okay, and yeah, maybe everybody still really wants Ronald out of this house
And
again.
and Tom is not Donald Duck. Tom is Tom is planning ahead more than Donald does. Tom is not as prone to doing things in a flash of anger.
Okay. Ronald McDonald and Gerry on the block. Yeah, and I think maybe Donald wants him to go after Kobe or Speedy, but he's just like, no, no, I have to go after Gerry. I just hate him so much.
Yeah.
Except, of course, he does this through various yells and sound effects. But anyway, Ronald McDonald, Gerry, and Tom are going to be playing in the veto. And who else do we have with them? We have Donald Duck. We have Ed, and we have Hare. So Donald, Hare, and Tom are all in it alongside
Yeah.
Ed, Ronald, and Gerry. Oof, not a good look. Well,
Yeah.
no, let's see what this competition is. It is called Building a Building. Contestants are given an assortment of large building blocks. Each round, they are shown an arrangement of the blocks in a tower and have to match it. Whoever is the last one to complete the building is eliminated. Last player standing wins. So who is one acting fast and two is a bit puzzle-minded?
I would say this is between Gerry and Hare.
I don't think Hare has puzzle sensibility. I was thinking maybe Tom versus Gerry here. I think maybe
I
Tom lets Gerry win, like, but
yes.
secretly. And it's just like
Yes.
like makes it look like he's just struggling.
Yeah.
And
I could see this, yeah.
and so Gerry is then able to take himself off the block. And who does Tom put in?
Now, question is, will Tom now put Kobe just that Donald is to keep his good connection with Donald?
Yeah, probably. Unless he just wants to put up a pawn just to like ensure Ronald gets out, just get a safe out here, like maybe Mr. Magoo again or somebody.
I think Tom knows that no one's gonna lose the vote against Ronald. So if he's just putting up Kobe so Donald doesn't get mad at him, this seems like just to honor his alliance with Donald, he's gonna put up Kobe.
Okay. But okay, I'll say that uh Tom is uh brought down by Donald in order to put Kobe on the block.
Yeah,
But now Ronald gets to work. Ronald sees his opportunity here. He sees that Kobe is the massive threat here. He starts talking to Tortoise. He starts talking to Gerry. He starts talking to uh I guess Winnie the Pooh and Ed and stuff is just like,
yeah.
hey, let's vote out Kobe. He's the big threat here. We just got out Gromit. Like he's on like Donald's side here, or on this matter. It's just like this is the opportunity. We have to get Kobe out. When is he going to be on the block again?
Well, thing is, Mr. Magoo, Winnie the Pooh, and Ed Cog are never voting out Kobe if they can vote out Ronald instead.
Okay, let's go through this. We can say like those three because they're all probably going to be very more less gameplay oriented, more personality oriented. Meanwhile,
Yeah,
Donald Duck and I think even Hare are voting out Kobe.
that's right. That's right.
Tortoise, I think, also votes out Kobe because I think
Yeah, he still remembers that Kobe put Isn't But Kingdom Brunel on the line.
yeah.
That was Kobe, wasn't it?
Yes, it might have been Gromit. Yeah, Kobe was the one who put IKB up. Speedy votes for Ronald. Gerry and who does Gerry vote for?
That's interesting.
If Gerry votes for Kobe,
Tom, Gerry, I mean, Speedy Gonzalez votes is definitely voting Ronald out.
I think
So we got
I think Gerry it goes with Tortoise here because they have a weird kind of alliance here, and I think we get a tied vote because Donald,
Yeah.
Hare, Tortoise, Gerry vote Kobe. Magoo, Winnie, Ed, Speedy vote Ronald. Tom has the deciding vote here.
Huh.
Does he make the move? I think he has no choice.
Yeah, he must vote Kobe out because he would I think if he thinks in the long run, he knows that Ronald is not gonna win in the end. But if he's now not voting to eliminate Kobe, he might lose his alliance with Donald.
I think to protect himself, he needs to vote out Kobe, and he does.
Wow, we are losing the big plays one after the other. First Gromit, now Kobe.
Oh my God. This is
I did not expect this to happen this way, and we are the ones who are making the calls.
yeah, this is why this can be so fun. Is oh my God. Kobe is out 4-4 tie vote.
And now, is Tom the big player in this game suddenly?
It's like, yeah, Tom and Donald and sort of Hare, but he's just kind of their lackey for now.
Yeah, and Tom with his secret alliance with Gerry.
Yeah, he's kind of secretly a massive player here. And Speedy is all alone now. Ed, Winnie, and Mr. Magoo are still just kind of there. Ronald is still here.
Yeah.
Tortoise with Gerry. It's
And I do see Speedy being all alone, trying to get just naturally getting connected with Gerry.
yeah.
It just
I,
feels like Mr. Magoo and Ed Cock as the old guys naturally gravitating toward each other. Speedy and Gerry seem to be naturally gravitating
yeah.
towards each other.
And Tort like they're and with Tortoise, they're all just kind of the little guys here.
Yeah.
Like even though Speedy is like very athletically capable.
Yeah. Speedy is a little guy with big guy energy.
hmm Big guy, little guy. I guess that's what Kobe and Speedy's friendship was. They were the big guy, little guy duo.
Yeah.
Okay, so with all this said, it's time to move into the next week with our next HOH competition, Greetings Bait. House guests dive into a deep pool and have to grab fish at the bottom of the pool. Some fish are worth more than others, and the house guest with the most fish after a set amount of time wins. So, swimming competition.
This seems like something that Donald should be good at.
Do ducks dive?
I mean, they get with a head underwater.
But I'm imagining this is like kind of like a swimming pool level where you have to go to the
Yeah.
bottom and grab stuff and come back up.
Okay. So
But
which ones are tortoises and which ones are turtles? I keep confusing the two.
tortoise is the land version. So the
Okay,
tortoise
so
can't swim. Who is an actual competitor here? I feel like we don't have anybody who's a really good swimmer.
I
Is
mean, so we're down to the human beings, and it's not Mr. McGee, so it's Ed versus Ronald. And
Ronald is the head of household?
yeah, Ronald is head of household. I'm sorry, but Ronald is head of household.
Oh my God.
The chaos.
Oh my God. I never would have expected this. Oh my God. What the hell happens here? I have no idea. Who is he going to put on the blog?
I mean, he's going for chaos.
He
So
I
he
think
puts up Winnie the Pooh.
oh my God. I I have no idea. I don't I still don't think he would ever like go for the trio there. I don't think he would think that was interesting enough.
I think I think in his mind he realized that kind of everyone likes Winnie the Pooh, so Winnie the Pooh might just be floating through until the end.
hmm
So just to get him on people's minds, I don't think he expects the Winnie the Pooh to be evicted, But just to get him on people's minds, he would put up Winnie the Pooh.
Does he put up Winnie the Pooh and Mr. Magoo, or does he go for like an actual person as well?
Winnie the Pooh and Tom.
Winnie the Pooh and Tom, just because he views Tom as like a bigger threat here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I can go with that. Winnie the Pooh and Tom. All right. So now we need to find our other competitors. We have 10 here. We have Gerry also competing. We have Tom gets to choose another competitor. I think he chooses Donald to go with him.
Yes.
And Ronald gets to choose somebody. He chooses Mr. Magoo just for fun.
Yeah.
All right, so we have Winnie, Mr. Magoo, Ronald, Tom, Donald Duck, and I said Gerry, right?
Gerry, yes.
Okay. So this veto competition is Daedalo or Labyrinth. The contestants have to get to the end of the maze as fast as possible. However, the maze is very intricate and complicated, so there is a picture of the entire layout of the maze at the start. They can learn the path and then go into it. But of course, if you spend too long trying to solve the maze at the beginning, you might end up slower than someone who just went straight in. Fastest through the maze wins the veto, but also in the maze is a luxury prize, a trip to Greece, which you can claim instead of the power of veto, and the fastest person to that prize wins that. So,
Well, this is the kind of thing a mouse would win, but I also think Gerry wouldn't want to have to decide whether to reveal his alliance with Tom or not. So Gerry would just go for the prize.
yeah, part of me, yeah, I think Tom is trying. Tom wants the prize, but he knows he needs to try and get that power veto because he definitely feels vulnerable sitting next to Winnie the Pooh. So
Yeah.
Gerry goes for the prize. Tom tries for the veto. Donald tries the veto to get Tom off.
Yeah.
Donald winning the veto is the best case scenario here, but I don't
But does it
think
happen? I
I
mean,
think I think Ronald could win this veto.
do you think I could actually see Tom winning this veto? Because Mr. Magoo stumbles out of a labyrinth, but I don't think he's fast enough.
Yeah, he's definitely not fast enough to get through the space, even with like the sheer luck of just being able to get through it easily. Um, it's definitely I think I'm in agreement that Gerry definitely throws it. So I think it is between Ronald and Tom. And I think, yeah, I guess Tom just has a bit more problem-solving skills, I guess, even if he is like a bit of a bad schemer, like his plans fail usually. I think he does. I think he can solve this maze. I think he can win. So Tom wins the veto, uses on itself, and of course, also Gerry wins the trip to Greece. Tom uses the veto on himself. And who does Ronald put in Tom's place? Does he put Donald? Does he put
I mean,
Speedy? Does he put Hare, Gerry, Tortoise, Ed, Mr. Magoo?
I think my first thought would be actually I'd would Ronald just put Donald on the line instead? I'm not sure. Maybe just it might maybe he just realizes that putting Donald instead of Tom would absolutely be. I mean, Ronald expects to be evicted any week anyway. But when you said does he pick Hare, something in me clicked and says yes, he might just pick Hare, but you. Ronald doesn't behave rationally.
I
That's the point.
Part of me thinks it's like if he can't get somebody from like this little trio out here, he just moves to the other trio. Oh, and it's just like maybe he goes for Speedy or maybe he says, "Oh, I put up Tom, then I'll put up Gerry next." This is just
Yeah.
to be funny.
Or it's just putting Ed because maybe by for the same reason he puts up Winnie, he can basically say, look at Ed quietly scheming and hiding behind Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, didn't we actually establish that before, where he was kind of a bit suspicious of Ed, or was that somebody else?
I don't really know, but I think it makes sense for him to put up Ed against Winnie.
Oh, actually, I think I agree actually that he put us up Ed, but for a different reason, just because he wants to see Mr. Magoo fumble around even more. Like
Yeah,
he wants him to lose that guiding light.
yeah.
So post veto, we get Winnie the Pooh versus Ed. Oh my God. Going from having Kobe and Gromit out back to back, we now get either Winnie the Pooh or Ed leaving.
Yeah.
All right. Who do people vote for? Ronald cannot vote. So is this, do people vote out Ed
I
because
I
they just like Winnie so much?
I think it's just out of I think that there's no strategy involved with either of them, so they are just gonna vote with their hearts. And if they vote with their heart, then Ed has no chance against Winnie.
I
Ed
think,
might get Mr. Magoo's vote, but other than that, people just love to have Winnie around because no matter how chaotic it gets, Winnie remains the ray of sunshine in the house.
yeah, I think I think people just like Winnie more. It's like Ed was just kind of there. He was kind of annoying. It's just he's just not really that beloved. So I think it's a unanimous 7-0 vote for
I
Ed to
think Mr.
leave.
Magoo votes for Winnie.
So 6-1 then.
6-1.
Ed 6-1. All right. Goodbye, Ed Cock, Mayor of New York City. All right. We are down to week 8. Oh, and I just remembered, like, Gromit had that power of veto or that extra vote or whatever, but he never got the chance to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that expired like in week 7, but it's just like he was out like the very next week he got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, week 8, 9 house guests left. Whew. All right. So, HOH competition is bounden. House guests must jump from platform to platform without ever falling. Most jumps wins. And Ronald is not allowed to vote. If only we had Tigger here, he would sweep this competition easily. But
Yeah.
since we don't, we have Hair
And
here. I
hair.
think that's an easy win for him.
Yeah, that hair is easily head of household.
Hair easily wins. I did not expect this Donald Tom partnership, especially with Hair, to be this safe so frequently, but they just
Yes.
seem to get the right competitions at the right times.
Yeah.
All right. So, Hair, Donald, and Tom, I think they're going over for Ronald this time. And this
Yeah.
is, there is no way he's not leaving. Everybody fucking hates him after his reign.
Yes.
And I think
And
they might
they
put
put
it.
up Mr. Magoo against him.
I was gonna say they put up Winnie the Pooh again, just no, but they didn't want to put Winnie through that. I think maybe he actually got emotionally vested that time and was just like he,
Yeah.
especially since he did lose like one of his quote unquote alliance members.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, and they're just putting up Mr. Magoo against him because they know that Mr. Magoo doesn't even realize he's on a game show. So, yeah,
yeah, all that Mr. Magoo knows is that he's living in a new house for now. I think he assumes like
yeah.
his old house is getting like what's it called when it's like they gas out the bugs or whatever.
I mean, it's just,
Like he thinks that like his old apartment or whatever is getting like
yeah,
that, and he's just living here for temporarily.
yes. So
Okay,
it's Ronald versus Mr. Magoo.
yeah, Ronald versus Mr. Magoo. Okay, so and our veto actually we have to figure out who is playing in this veto competition. All right. We have Gerry. We have Winnie the Pooh. And we have Mr. Magoo gets to pick somebody else. He picks.
He picks Ed, and then someone reminds him that Ed isn't here.
And then I think he just picks.
It just stumbles randomly over someone and picks him.
He picks Donald, we'll say. Sure. Gerry.
Why not?
Gerry, Donald, Mr. Magoo, Ronald. Wait. Who won? Oh, yeah, Hare won. So Hare is the other one. All right. And so we have an OTEV competition. This is a very frequent competition in Big Brother show. What it is it's a question about it's a game about the previous house guests where you have to like figure out, or you're asked questions about them. And it's also a sort of physical comp because you have to go and find these little placards with uh the contestants' names on it in like these little piles or whatever. And it's like there's all these different answers, but only one of them is the correct answer. Am I making myself clear at all? And it's also
I think I sort of understand, yes.
and it's another one of the elimination challenges. And there's this very iconic, like very scripted line that each house get is given whenever they do the OTEV competition to explain it. Like there's a compilation on YouTube where everybody says OTEV is just like musical chairs. Where it's just like whoever returns to the spot last with the name is eliminated. So anyway, for this OTEV competition, it's Noah's Ark, where OTEV is Noah. He's loading animals on his ark during the flood, and all OTEV will give clues about evicted house guests, in each clue applying to two of them, and the contestants will have to wade through different quote unquote flood waters, but it's just like pools of water with a bunch of different animal figures with previous contestants' names on them, and have to return to Noah, quote unquote, with these names. And whoever gets there last is eliminated, and whoever is last standing wins the veto. So
I mean, if it was just about knowing the eliminated house guests best, it would easily be Winnie the Pooh to win because he was just friendly with everyone, had conversations with everyone, and so knows the most about everyone. The one problem I see is that there is this physical part of the game. So is his knowledge of previous house guests good enough to overcome his physical limitation of clumsiness?
And there's also the fact that Gerry and Hare are very new. And I don't, again, I don't think Winnie the Pooh, like you were saying, he doesn't have the speed to really get there. I think maybe Donald, with his knowledge.
I mean, it's almost Donald by default because Magoo doesn't know a thing, and Ronald doesn't know anything doesn't know enough about previous house guests because it just hates everyone so much and no one talked to him. So it's almost by default that Donald is winning this.
Yeah. All right. So Donald wins the veto, and he does not use it, of course, because
I would say so, yes.
Everyone
hates Ronald, and it's anonymous.
Yeah, Mr. Magoo and Ronald. And then, of course, Ronald. We don't need to talk about this. Ronald is evicted unanimously.
Yeah.
But this also means that he is the first member of the jury. Which, for those who don't know, at the end of Big Brother, when there is just two contestants remaining, the jury, which is usually the last 7 contestants to be eliminated, they get to pick who the final winner is. And so Ronald is going to be one of those votes.
Wow.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
All right. So we move into next week. 8 house guests remain. And we have our next HOH competition, tea for 200. There's a giant container of tea. The house guests, each with a small teacup, must fill the cup of tea, walk along a slippery surface where they can easily spill it, but then pour the tea into a large tube on the other side. First house guest to fill that tube wins. It's a long competition. Hair does not compete. Who has both the balance and the endurance and the speed to get to bring tea from one side to the other?
Speedy Gonzalez.
Speedy Gonzalez. I'm trying to think if there's any way that anybody else could get this, but I think Speedy can easily just win this. All right. Easy peasy. Don't need to talk too long about that. But who does he put on the block? And now we can I think this is a good chance to think about the positioning of everybody in this house. Think about these alliances. So we have Speedy, Gerry, and Taurus are still together. We have Donald,
Yes.
Tom, and Hare together. We have Mr. Magoo and Winnie. Speedy, Gerry, and Taurus are definitely going to try and split up Donald, Tom, and Hare. They are just going to put
Yes.
two of them up. But which two?
I would say Donald and Hare because Gerry is probably trying to influence Speedy not to put up Tom because of the secret alliance. And he will find good reasons. I mean, Gerry is an intelligent mouse. He will find good reasons to explain to Speedy why he shouldn't put up Tom, even although Tom, it would be just natural for Speedy to put as a mouse to put up Tom as a cat. I think it will be Donald and Hare.
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, but I think Tortoise really wants to get Tom out, though. I think this is where something where Gerry and Tortoise disagree
Yeah,
because
that's true.
Tom was the one who got Kobe out. Tom was the deciding vote.
True, true.
And I think
And then I think it would be Tom versus Hare because in that case,
I think
I th
maybe they just go
Hare,
for the two big ones, Donald and Tom, and see what happens.
you think, yeah, because okay, so Donald versus Tom.
Okay.
That's a power move, yeah.
Yeah, I
And
think
after all, yeah, and yeah,
they need to be
Speedy
making
was
moves.
yeah, yeah. Donald versus Tom. Okay.
All right.
And so we have the veto competition. Let's get these contestants picked. We have Mr. Magoo. We have Speedy gets to pick another person. He picks Gerry.
Yes.
And then we have Tom gets to pick somebody. He picks Hare. So Speedy, Gerry, Mr. Magoo, Donald Duck, Tom, and Hare. And our competition is Robin Hoodlum. So this is a bit of a mind game kind of competition. The house guests are each given 10 coins, and there are money bags which with each of the veto's contestants' names on it. One by one, the contestants will put coins into whichever bag they want to and can divide them however they want. The winner of the POV competition is whoever gets the closest to 25 coins in their bag without going over. Also, the person with the least amount of coins gets a luxury prize of $10,000. So, do you understand the competition?
I'm not entirely sure.
So, uh, the six competitors, Speedy, Gerry, Mr. Magoo, Donald, Tom, and Hare, each have 10 coins 10 coins to
Mm.
distribute between themselves, the six contestants. And they're trying to get to 25 coins in their bag without going over that. And they
Okay.
and so for example, something that let's say Donald Duck, Tom, and Hare could do is they could actually put all their coins inside perhaps Speedy's bag to ensure he goes over the 25, and so he would not be able to win the veto, and so one of them would have a better chance of doing it. But that also
So can the contestants talk to each other as they play the game?
No. I was trying
Okay.
to think back to how they did it in the original season, and no, they can't really strategize. They just have to kind of think about what they have to kind of strategize inside themselves and try to think what what everybody else is going to be doing here.
Okay.
I did not think about how it's like we're actually gonna have to think about like what each one does and not just like
Yeah.
decide who's the best logically here. But
I think in that case, it's pretty much random chance, isn't it?
not really. It's like if I think there is some logic here. It's just like who do we think like what do we think what strategies are they each going for? Would they try to put all their money in the same bag? Would they try to like for example, I think uh this is tough. I think some of them are going to just put all their coins into their own bag to try and get to that power veto. So like Donald, Tom, or Hare.
Mm.
I think Hare might pick either Donald or Tom to just put all his coins in their bag, in one of
But
their bags, or split them
but
between them.
Hare but Hare knows if the problem for Hare is Hare knows if Donald or Tom get the power of veto, they're going to remove themselves, and Speedy is going to put Hare instead. And as the newer competitor, Hare might be going out. So maybe Hare doesn't even have that much of an interest in helping Donald or Tom have the power of veto. Only if Hare has the power of veto and gets to remove one of them, Hare can be sure not to be the replacement nominee.
So maybe Hare just tries to like split his coins between the contestants, just try to like have as little effect as possible.
Yes.
Yeah. And Mr. Magoo does not know
Doesn't
what he's
understand.
doing.
Yeah, he just keeps his coins.
Yeah, he puts his coins in his own bag just for fun. So
Yeah. He sees it
so
as a bag, he sees it as coins, so he just keeps them.
yeah. So Mr. Magoo, Donald, Tom all put all of theirs into their own bag. Hare tries to even it out. So it is just about what Speedy and Gerry do. Hmm.
I think Gerry, like Hare, is trying to make it even because he doesn't want to be in a position to reveal his secret alliance with Tom.
Okay. Or hmm. Because it's like the eventual results are secret. So it's like nobody knows who put their coins where. So
Yeah, but
and
if Gerry is in the position, Gerry doesn't want to have the position of redoing.
but I think he might put the coins in uh Tom's bag and try to pass it off as
Yeah,
like hair or something. And
yeah.
just like
So maybe, yeah. That sounds good.
so then Tom ends up with like 23 coins. And
Yes,
Speedy, I think, might just put the coins in his own bag. Put the coins
yeah.
in.
So basically, probably Tom is winning this. I'll be saying.
Yeah, we'll say Tom wins it. We'll say Gerry gets the luxury prize of
Yeah,
$10,000. And
Gerry
then
just keeps winning the prizes, the
yeah,
luxury prizes.
because he doesn't want to be helping Tom, but secretly. Actually, last time he didn't help Tom. This time he does, and he won the luxury prize both times.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
So
Tom
it's
gets the veto, and he does use it on himself.
so who does Speedy put up? I guess he puts up hair then.
he puts up Hare because they still want to play. He still wants to split up the trio. So it's Donald versus Hare.
Donald versus Hare.
And now this is interesting. I think because we have the interesting position of Donald Duck being seen as more of a power player, but he's more well known to a lot of these older contestants.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Hare is less of a threat, but also he's less ingrained with the likes of Magoo, Winnie the Pooh, Tortoise, and Tom even. And
Yeah. I mean, I, there's no way Tom is voting for Donald to be eliminated.
yeah,
So Tom is voting Hare.
Tom definitely votes Hare. I think, and it's like this is interesting because it puts Donald and Hare at odds with each other. I think we maybe get a bit of fracturing from this. I think maybe
Yeah.
Tom even goes to he tries to talk with maybe Speedy, Gerry, Tortoise, just to try and gather like what they're going to do, just to try and I don't know. I
I
think
think I also think Winnie is voting hair because Winnie knows Donald for longer, and he knows Donald might be prone to have his attacks of anger, but he's also there's an endearing quality to Donald.
Yeah, I think everybody might be voting hair.
Yeah. I mean, Tortoise Tortoise and Hare are the old enemies, so and well, it's basically yeah, it could be a landslide for Hare to be eliminated.
All right. It's definitely looking like that. 6-0 for hair.
Hardly knew you.
All
I
right.
mean, it's the fate of those reality TV contestants who enter late that they tend not to win the thing at the end because it's more often than not an original player who wins.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So
Unless
yeah.
it's someone like Gerry who is rather very strategic and sort of finds the rules of the game easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I feel like Gerry is I think we're kind of underestimating Gerry a bit. I think he's going to be start thinking about moves he can make. And especially
Yes.
with his secret alliance with Tom. I
Yeah.
think
He
I,
has an official alliance and it's a secret alliance, so Gerry is positioned very well.
yeah, and Tom, I think he's not positioned that well considering like he just lost a part of his alliance, but I think with that ear inside of the Tortoise and Speedy Gerry alliance, I think there's room in there. And Winnie the
Okay.
Pooh is still here. Mr. Magoo's still
Yes.
here. They're just there to liven up the house a little bit.
Yeah.
All right.
So 7 contestants remain.
7 remain. And our next HOH competition is the box. The house guests must hold a slightly heavy box. Last one holding the box wins. That's it. Just hold the box as long as you can.
This sounds like something that Tortoise would win.
Tortoise does
If it's
win
just
this.
stamina.
It's just stamina. It's just not dropping the box. And I feel like a lot of these competitors do not have arm strength. Although I could see Winnie the Pooh maybe doing well at this. I don't think he experiences pain at all. So I think he could just hold it.
That's yeah, I could
And I think this might be
he might just become curious what's inside the box and just put the box
he
down and open it to see if it's honey inside.
maybe, maybe. Yeah, we can give this a tortoise.
All right.
And we're at the point where I'm starting to ask myself, is Slow and Steady going to win this race?
Yeah.
Oh my God, are we proving the old adage true? And does Tortoise just immediately put up Donald and Tom?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
mean,
I he still has the vendetta out for Tom. I don't think that there is anything else to really consider here.
yes. Because I think Tortoise can hold a grudge for a
Yeah.
long, long time.
All right. And so it's and we're down to the point where it's like there's just one house guest who's sitting out of the veto competitions. I'm just going to decide which one that is. And it is going to be Speedy who is sitting out.
Okay.
So we have Gerry, Tortoise, Donald, Tom, Winnie, and Mr. Magoo. And they are competing in Mouse Wreckers. This is a hide and go veto comp, where each house guest they are given a little object to hide somewhere into the Big Brother house. They're each given like 5 minutes each to hide their little object. And then one by one, they each go in the house to try and find the other things that the other house guests hid, and then one by one, whoever has their whoever is the last one with one of the things hiding in the house wins. And so the theming of this is that they all have little mice to hide in the house, and so they all have to go find the mice. All right. So who would be good at hiding something and who would be good at finding things? And I think Gerry has really good
Yes.
competition here.
I'm looking at these, and Gerry feels like the obvious winner of the six.
Yeah, like I feel like Winnie the Pooh and Mr. Magoo
Yeah. If
outright.
Speedy was in this competition, then Speedy would win. But since Speedy is the only one sitting out, it has to be Gerry. And
Mhm.
not because they are mice, but just because they seem to be good at this kind of thing.
Yeah, like they can easily search all the little nooks and crannies. It feels like an easy win for Gerry. And he, of course, oh yeah, he definitely does not use this veto. But
I mean, is this the moment where he reveals his secret alliance with Tom and actually saves Tom, and everyone else is stunned that he does?
Okay, let's get in Gerry's mind here. Let's see how this affects. He could also actually no. Let's see what he's thinking here. If he saves Tom, that certainly means that Donald Duck goes home. And that leaves, but he also loses his alliance with Tortoise and Speedy. So it would be Tortoise and Speedy, Gerry, Tom, Winnie, and Mr. Magoo.
Mm,
And I think Tortoise with the endurance and the knowledge versus Speedy with the agility, I think they become they hold the power there. And I'm not sure Gerry feels like he can risk going up against them.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's right. I think it might be the more prudent choice to not use the veto.
But at the same time, it's like I'm trying to think like, but Tortoise wants to get Tom out, and I think he can tell Speedy to get Tom out. No, and I think Winnie the Pooh and Mr. Magoo, I have no idea what they want to do.
I
Oh
think
wait,
if I think
wait, Tortoise doesn't vote. Wait. Yeah, Tortoise
Tortoise
doesn't
doesn't
vote.
vote. I think
Okay.
Winnie might be more likely to keep Tom because of Donald's frequent outbursts of
Yeah.
anger. And since Ed has gone, I could see Mr. Magoo doing what Winnie does.
Mr. Magoo doing okay.
So
Oh, so
if
it could be wait. Okay.
so Winnie votes Donald out, Mr. Magoo votes Donald out, and Gerry, to keep his alliance, votes Donald out, which leaves Speedy as the only one to vote Tom out.
But okay, so here's how I see what's going to happen. So, going into the vote, Tortoise tells Speedy and Gerry to vote out Tom, and I think they both agree with it. But even though Gerry is like, I cannot vote Tom out. And so, but it's like if we get like a 3-1 vote for Donald, Tortoise and Speedy know that Gerry voted for Donald. And it's just like he can't. Gerry's in a very rough position here. It's like, does he
Yes.
try to save Tom or does he keep this powerful alliance? And it's like Tom is definitely asking Gerry, like, hey, save me. This is the moment. We are supposed to be allies now. You need to help me. But Gerry just doesn't know what to do.
I mean,
It
what's the point of a secret alliance if you never actually vote for your alliance?
it but it's because like if Gerry has to think about himself first and foremost. If he views losing like Speedy or losing Speedy and Tortoise as like a worse move for his game than losing Tom, I think he needs to stay with Speedy and Tortoise. I
It's a
don't think
tough
he
one.
can save Tom.
Okay, I'm gonna trust your gut as someone who knows better how these games work. I still believe he would save Tom and Donald is eliminated 3-1, but if you're saying that he will stick with his official alliance and vote Tom, so it's 2-2, and Tortoise is voting out Tom, then I'm gonna trust you and say Tom gets eliminated.
Yeah, I think that's the way this plays out. I just don't think that Gerry wants to risk that. I don't think is he's going to put
But
himself
he,
out on the line to stay with Tom and go up against Speedy and Tortoise.
but if he's betraying Tom, he also knows that if he is making to the top two, that Tom is never gonna vote for him.
Yeah, he's not going to get Tom's jury vote at all. So it's gonna be rough. And it's like this is the one of the most underappreciated parts of Big Brother and also similar games like Survivor. It's jury maintenance. You gotta keep the jury on your side. Right. And it's just like I think Gerry forgets that. And he is going to let Tom go. And if Gerry makes it to the final two, he's losing Tom's vote no matter what.
Yeah.
But Tom just has to go.
Okay, so the final six are Tortoise, Donald, Mr. Magoo, Winnie the Pooh, Speedy Gonzales, and Jerry Mouse.
All right, let me just write things into my doc real quick. Tom loses 2-2 vote. Who was HOH? Tortoise was. All right.
Okay. Now, but before we can do this week is actually going to be a double eviction week. And this really doesn't mean much in terms of the like in terms of us, but double evictions happen common in regular Big Brother where it's just like in one night, right? Rather than going through a whole week, it just happens right after they vote out somebody else. They do a quick competition, they do a quick veto, and then they just get somebody out like only half an hour after after the previous person. So quickly, we have the HOH comp, the lost thing. In pairs, the house guests are shown a grid with many objects and must find a specific object within it. First person to buzz in with the correct location wins that round, and the other person is eliminated. Last one standing wins. So, this is a detail-oriented thing, trying to find little things in basically an I Spy puzzle. And so, who is very good at the details, who is very quick thinking. And I
How are they
think
paired up?
uh so yeah, it's like for example, we'll say like first round, Mr. Magoo and Speedy go up against each other. Speedy would win. Mr. Magoo is
Yes.
eliminated, and Speedy would move on. Then we'll say Winnie the Pooh and Donald Duck go up against each other. Donald Duck wins that. Winnie the Pooh is
Yes.
eliminated. Gerry and Tortoise go up against each other. Gerry probably wins. Even I feel like Tortoise is good at I Spy puzzles, but with the addition of like buzzing in quickly,
Yes.
Gerry has to win. Okay, so then we'll do Speedy and Donald. I the thing is, it's like how detail oriented is Speedy? Like, would he be good at this?
I
Or
mean, it's Speedy, Donald, and Jerry. It's three of them remaining.
well, yeah, but they go against each other in pairs. So I'm saying
Okay, so
like,
Jerry just gets a free pass in the second round.
yeah, like it's just Speedy and Donald are gonna compete against each other, and then whoever wins that will go against Gerry, and then whoever wins that wins.
Speedy is quick on the buzzer, but I'm not sure he really is the detail guy. I think,
He probably like buzzes in quickly and gets the answer wrong, and
yes.
Donald moves on, and then Donald versus Gerry, I think might be Gerry.
Yes.
And does Gerry take this opportunity? Does he break it off? Like
I think
in the
I
immediate
think
aftermath of voting out Tom, does he feel so guilty that he's like, I gotta get out Tortoise or Speedy?
I think I think Donald is now isolated and there's no one left. We have the slow and steady pair of Mr. Magoo and Winnie the Pooh to take care of. So maybe he just wants to get one of these two out.
I I'm thinking we were so conflicted about that Tom decision that this is going to weigh on Gerry, especially this since this is like a double elimination episode. And I think Gerry is just so emotionally fraught right now that like he has to like he's feeling like he needs to make it up to Tom somehow and has to he's going after he's burning all his bridges, I guess. He's going
Yeah.
after Tortoise and Speedy, I'm in my mind.
Okay. Then okay. This sounds like this sounds like a move he could make in emotional distress. Yes.
Like he's not thinking clearly right now. He is he's in a rough spot. But
Yeah.
we'll do that. And everybody is competing in this veto competition and it is called Toy Tinkers. The house guests must use long tweezers to build a tower of extremely tiny toy blocks. Any small movement, even your breath, can knock the whole structure over. Fastest to complete the structure win. Again, this is very detail oriented, but also it's not something you can do quickly. Speedy is not going to win this, but
No.
also you do need to be a bit quick about it, or else you won't. It's like, is Gerry going to remain calm enough in order to get this built? Is Tortoise or Mr. Magoo, they're very slow, but they're going to be a lot more precise with it. Winnie the Pooh has no precision, he's not winning.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, it feels like really everyone has something speaking against them. Speedy is not too detail oriented. Gerry is in emotional distress. Donald is prone to be very angry and just not gonna do it.
yeah, you get very frustrated.
Magoo, Winnie, and Tortoise are very slow. Everyone has a strike against them here.
Oh, man, I I really don't think Speedy is going to get this. I really don't think
I
Winnie is
could
going to get this.
I could actually see Winnie just enjoying himself doing this kind of artistic thing and not really caring either way. And everyone else is just too much in their head that Winnie somehow ends up winning this and not even knowing how or why.
But I don't even think Winnie has the precision, precise movements required in order to do something like this. He's a bit of a klutz.
That's true. Actually, I actually could see Gerry prevailing after all.
I I do have a I do think that maybe Mr. Magoo won't be able to even see the tiny blocks. That I
Yeah.
don't think he can get that. I think Tortoise could if Donald and Gerry mess up enough. Tortoise is not going to mess up, I don't think. He's going to just
Tortoise is not gonna mess up, but gonna take long.
yeah.
I think Donald is gonna mess up. I think Gerry is just gonna be composed enough to make it through.
Okay, yeah. Donald does not Donald gets too frustrated and messes up.
Yeah.
I can definitely see Gerry winning this. This is a big night for Gerry.
Oh yes.
And he does not use his veto. Tortoise and Speedy are in shock after this whole night right now. But somebody has to get voted out. Gerry does not get a say as to who it is. And I think, and it is down to Donald, Mr. Magoo, and Winnie the Pooh to decide who leaves.
I mean, we know that Donald is definitely voting for Tortoise to leave.
Donald votes for Tortoise. I think, but I think Winnie the Pooh and Mr. Magoo both enjoy Tortoise more than Speedy just because Speedy's a bit more hyper. They can't keep up with Speedy. It's like Tortoise is
Yeah,
more similar to them. So I think
yeah,
Speedy loses in a 2-1 vote.
yeah.
All right. Wasn't that fun? What a night.
Yes,
Oh man. And Gerry just won 3 competitions in a row. That's
yes,
worth noting here.
but he also pretty much burned all his bridges.
Yeah, like so yeah, we put Speedy over
Yeah,
into Jury House.
he
Uh,
he sh- he shouldn't have voted for Tom to be eliminated, but there you go.
but now we have 3 pretty isolated competitors, Gerry, Donald, and Tortoise. Then we have Mr. Magoo and Winnie the Pooh here. With all these burnt bridges, somebody has to extend the olive branch.
Yes,
But first, a
it's not
new
Tortoise because Tortoise holds a grudge.
the next week begins. HOH comp is balance. The house guests are all standing together on a platform. With a shift of the weight, the platform tilts further and further. The last house guest standing on the platform wins the HOH. There is also a box on the platform that if a house guest jumps off with it, they get a luxury prize that is unknown to them and unknown to the audience. If everyone jumps off without the box, the winner gets the prize as well.
And we know that Magoo is just stumbling over the platform, and everyone else is so busy keeping the platform in balance that they just drop off one by one, and Mr. Magoo ends up with the box and the HOH.
I I think Winnie the Pooh holds onto the box and slides off with it.
Yes, okay, I'll accept that.
Uh, yeah, I can get that Mr. Magoo would just happen into this win without realizing it. Like he's just so disoriented that he ends up knocking everybody else off. But who does Mr. Magoo put on the block? Definitely not Winnie the Pooh.
No.
He he has to figure out where the hell he is for the briefest moment in order to put 2 of these people on the block.
Now this is interesting. Um, hmm.
I think maybe what we get here is Gerry, Donald, and Tortoise each trying to plead their case to Magoo. And
Yeah.
I think Magoo, like we kind of said when they were voting between Speedy and Tortoise, I think Magoo relates to Tortoise more. And so he puts up Gerry and Donald.
I can see that.
All right.
Yes,
I'll
that
put
makes
that in.
sense.
All right. Veto competition is your face. The house guests individually are shown a series of images of faces that are just 2 of any of the house guests, not just the current ones, but any of them, edited together. The house guest who can correctly identify all the faces the quickest wins. So it's a puzzle, it's a memory competition, just or detail oriented, trying to figure out like facial features and things like that. Like who are the 2 contestants that are in these edits.
Call
So
me crazy, but I think Winnie the Pooh has so much empathy that he is winning this.
yeah, yeah, I could see that. And he doesn't have like Mr. Magoo's blindness. The thing is, it's like I feel like a lot of these like there is a bit of speed involved, so it's not going to be Tortoise. It's
Yeah, but Winnie immediately recognizes them. He
yeah.
just intuitively recognizes who's there in front of him.
Okay, I think Winnie wins the veto then. I can get behind your reasoning.
And
But
he
does
stays
he
out of the drama. He stays out of the drama. He doesn't want to interfere.
but part of me thinks it's like he wants to use it because he wants to save his friends, but at the same time he might not fully comprehend that.
I mean, he knows if he's using his power of veto, then Tortoise by default is nominated.
Does he realize that?
Good question.
But at the same time,
I
it's
think
like
Tortoise will tell him. Tortoise will
I
tell him that.
Maybe Mr. Magoo, like he's just on this week, and he's like he can actually like understand what's going on. I love these two people who barely understand the game are in the top five just because nobody
Yeah.
bothered voting them out. They just like them too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll say no. No, the veto is not used. So Gerry and Donald are still on the block.
Tortoise votes out Gerry.
Yeah. So yeah. Tortoise votes Gerry. Winnie the Pooh.
Probably votes out Gerry as well because he knows Donald for a longer time.
True. Yeah, I think yeah, I could see that. Sorry, Gerry, your plan didn't really work out as well as you hoped it would. And let me just put this in. Gerry 2-1. All right, we're back to the top four. Tortoise, Donald, Mr. Magoo, Winnie the Pooh. This is
This is not the top four I expected. Not
I
at all.
and honestly, the one I least expected to get here was Donald Duck. It's just like he was in such a controversy at so many points.
Yeah.
He's been nominated a few times here, but he just barely made it out all those times. It's
Yeah.
just
I thought Gromit and Kobe would just be playing this thing, and then they were out before they could even get into the jury.
exactly it's rough here. And let's remind ourselves of the jury. We have Ronald McDonald, Hare, Tom, Speedy, and Gerry. It's it's a mess. This is exactly why I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
All right, so our HOH competition is the Dizzy Acrobat. House guests must hold on to a spinning platform as long as possible. Not only does the spinning get faster, but it can also sway back and forth. Last house guest standing wins. And I have a little random event here that is going to go to Mr. Magoo. He vomits on the attraction in the competition. It doesn't affect his performance. He just vomits at some point. I just wanted to put that in there.
Okay.
But yeah, who can hold on to the platform? Who can withstand the spinning? I think Winnie the Pooh might think it's just fun.
Yeah. Wee.
Oh yeah, and oh yeah, Mr. Magoo. Actually, Mr. Magoo isn't even competing, so it's just he just vomits by watching it.
Yeah. I think Tortoise just has the stamina.
Yeah, I think any of these competitors could actually just stay on, but it's about I think it'd be more like who wants to stay on more. I think Winnie the Pooh might just get tired of it and want to get off, but between Tortoise and Donald, I think either of them could stay. But I think the spinning would also get to Donald. He is a person who gets sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tortoise wins. And so oh, what and it doesn't really matter who he puts on the block here because what really wins is the veto competition. And it's like that's the person who gets the deciding vote, really, unless it's the HOH again, then they pick who gets
Yes.
the deciding vote. Um, but anyway, so veto competition, it's called the big story. The house guests are each give actually we should at least decide who Tortoise puts up, even though it doesn't matter too much. Um, so he puts up Donald, he puts up Mr. Magoo.
Yeah.
All right. The big story. The house guests are each given newspapers with headlines, each one relating to one of the affected house guests. The first person to correctly match all the headlines with each house guest wins. And so it's like these headlines are just styled like newspaper headlines, but are about random things that happened during the stay in the house. And so whoever can match them up first wins. And it's just and it's so it's not just about just matching them up, but also parsing the headlines to understand what they mean. And I feel like
Yes.
Winnie the
So
Pooh,
this is where Winnie falters, and this sounds like something that Donald
yeah,
would win.
yeah, yeah, Donald gets this.
Yeah.
So Donald and Tortoise are guaranteed the final two, which means Mr. Magoo or Winnie the Pooh has to be voted out.
And Donald decides this.
And Donald decides who leaves.
I think Donald knows that he's not going to win the jury vote over Winnie the Pooh.
He might not even win over Mr. Magoo,
Yeah,
but
but he
he
knows he has a chance against Magoo. He knows he's never winning against Winnie the Pooh. And so this is the moment for him to be strategic and vote Winnie out.
yes. Oh my God. This is Tortoise, Donald Duck, and Winnie the Pooh are the final three. And
Yes.
as is usual for the final three, there is still a HOH competition, but what it really means is just the HOH is guaranteed a spot in the finale, and they pick one person to who gets eliminated. And so, and it's a three-part HOH comp. So so in the first part, all three competitors compete. Whoever wins that gets a spot in part three, and then the other two compete in the second one, and then whoever wins that also competes in the third part. And whoever won the first two competes against the third part, and then whoever wins the third part is the HOH. Easy peasy. So, first competition is Sisyphus. The house guests must roll a heavy ball over a hill so that it rolls down the other side. Then they get the ball and push it back up the hill, have it roll down to where they started. Then they press a button on that first side. That's 1 point. First to 100 points wins. It's an endurance competition. They have to just keep pushing.
I mean, it must be Tortoise winning this. It's going to take ages. It's going to
Yeah.
take ages, but Donald Duck does not have the patience to do this.
And he will get so tired.
Yes. And Mr. Magoo, as we established, doesn't even understand the rules. So it must be Tortoise, even although it takes ages.
Yeah. All right. Competition 2, Sydney's Family Tree. The house guests are given tiles with the faces of every evicted house guest. They're shown a branching tree with labels such as was evicted unanimously, wasn't a showman's, etc. The house guest must place the tiles in the correct spot where all the labels for that spot apply to that house guest. Fastest time wins. And I put in those examples just like before I even thought of this. So it's like, I don't know why I thought there would be a showman's this season. I don't know why any of these would be romantically involved. But anyway,
I mean,
Donald
I-
easily wins that.
yes. I mean, Mr. Magoo just shuffles them around randomly. So if Donald even only remembers half of it, he easily wins this one.
Okay, so yeah, I feel like we could have easily predicted Taurus versus Donald would be in this spot. And then part three, is it always right to be right? The two house guests are given a series of questions and rather than answering them themselves, are given two possible answers from one of the jury members. The house guests must then guess which answer the jury member gave. Most points wins. So it's about knowing how the jury members would answer different questions. And I think Tortoise is the one who is the most emotionally aware. Or it's like we could also
Yes.
look at the different contestant or jury members, Winnie, Gerry, Speedy, Tom, Hare, Ronald. It's like Donald spent more time with Tom and Hare, Tortoise spent more time with Gerry and Speedy, and then everybody loved Winnie the Pooh. Everybody could probably guess that. Who knew Ronald McDonald better? I don't know. I think could be a close competition, but I think Tortoise is just might just be better.
Yes.
All right.
And
Tortoise.
we know who Tortoise is taking to the finale with him.
Well, it's actually an interesting decision because while Mr. Magoo is here, he's also maybe more well liked, but then again, he's not much of a game player. It's like people,
Yeah. And Tortoise holds a grudge. Tortoise is someone who holds a grudge.
yeah, Tortoise is taking this opportunity to get Donald Duck out.
Yes.
All right. So our final two is Tortoise and Mr. Magoo. Oh, let me just write this in. All right. So now we're going to go in order of the different jurors and we'll ask who each one votes for. So first we have Ronald McDonald. I think he votes for Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, as an agent of chaos, he's gonna vote for Mr. Magoo.
Juror number two is Hare. He votes for
Definitely Magoo.
Tortoise. You say he votes for Magoo or
I mean, Hare was part of the alliance with Donald and Tom, and Tortoise was the main reason he was eliminated.
Mhm. All right, we can yeah, I think Hare would hold the grudge. And also they are natural enemies, of course.
Yeah,
Okay, juror number three is Tomcat. Now, I think you might say he votes for Mr. Magoo, but I think he relates to Tortoise because they were both kind of betrayed by Gerry.
yeah,
And
and
so
he respects the game that Tortoise has played.
yeah, so I think he votes for Tortoise. Juror number four is Speedy. Speedy votes for Tortoise because they were good allies.
Yeah,
Juror number five is Gerry. Gerry votes for Tortoise, I think. Even though there was the whole kerfuffle, I think Gerry at the very least feels bad, but
yeah,
also it's like,
he regrets everything he did that night, and just to make up, he votes for Tortoise.
but also I think he he's not voting for Mr. Magoo.
Yes, unlike Winnie the Pooh.
Unlike Winnie the Pooh, who of course votes for his best friend, Mr. Magoo.
Yes. So it's down to Donald's vote whether
Oh,
Tortoise or Mr. Magoo
it's
wins.
3-3. Oh my God. Donald gets to decide who wins. Does he respect Tortoise well enough? And does he value the game well enough in order to give Tortoise the prize, the win, or does he want to give it to Mr. Magoo?
I mean, he's also an impulsive person, and Tortoise just kicked him out and took away his chance to win. And huh,
Oh man. Does Mr. Magoo win?
I think Mr. Magoo wins.
Oh my God.
I never in the world expected Mr. Magoo to win this, but on the other hand, it's a very Mr. Magoo kind of thing to not even realize he's participating in a game show and winning it at the end.
Mr. Magoo wins Big Brother Best Animated Short. But also as one final note, there's also Big Brother also does America's Favorite Player, but I called it the Academy's Favorite Player. But I think Winnie the Pooh wins this as well
Yeah,
because
yeah,
everybody loves Winnie the Pooh. How
yeah.
can you?
Everybody loves Winnie the Pooh, and if it wasn't for the power move by Donald to remove Winnie the Pooh from the competition, he would have won this. Although I take that back because who in their right mind would have? I mean, Winnie the Pooh would have had to win Hmm.
Well, okay, so in in that week 4 of Tortoise, Donald, old Mr. Magoo, and Winnie the Pooh, Donald won the veto, saved himself, and so it's up to Mr. Magoo and Winnie the Pooh. If Donald voted out Winnie the Pooh instead, or
If
vote
it
out
would
Mr.
have,
Magoo instead,
yeah,
I think so. Tortoise would still win Sisyphus. Winnie the Pooh might have been able to win the Sydney's Family Tree competition, I,
yes,
which would
yeah.
mean, but but and wait, would Winnie the Pooh have been able to win the third part, or would that
What
still
was
go
the
to
third part
Tortoise?
again?
Where it's just like the jury members like give are
I
answering these
think,
questions, and you have to
yeah,
pick which answer the jury member
Winnie would
gave.
have won that one. Winnie would have won that one.
And so, would Winnie the Pooh have voted out Tortoise or Donald Duck? Probably Donald Duck still.
Yeah,
But
but I think Winnie the Pooh would have won the jury vote.
no, but I think we would have had the same thing except so with the other three. So instead of Tortoise and Mr. Goo kind of splitting, it would be Tortoise and Winnie the Pooh, kind of the same votes. But then Donald would instead vote Tortoise because Winnie just kicked him out.
But would Gerry, but would Gerry still vote Tortoise over Winnie the Pooh? Would Speedy
Well,
vote Tortoise over Winnie the Pooh?
well, I I think so because I think like Gerry, Speedy, Tom are game players. I think they value the game, and it's like Winnie the Pooh didn't do anything; he was just there being cute. It's
That's
just like
true.
Ronald McDonald votes Winnie the Pooh because he's the age of the chaos. Hare votes Winnie the Pooh because he hates Tortoise. This Winnie or Mr. Magoo votes Winnie the Pooh because he's his best friend, and then Donald is still left as the last vote. Oh, and he votes for Tortoise because Winnie the Pooh kicked him out.
That's true.
Unless we don't think, unless Donald is understanding when it comes to Winnie the Pooh, where he's not with Mr. Magoo or with Tortoise.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, Tortoise was on a season-long vendetta against Donald. Winnie was not. So maybe,
Regardless, this is not the world we live in.
yeah, we live in the world in which Mr. Magoo just won Big Brother.
Mr. Magoo Magooed his way into winning Big Brother, and it's like we inadvertently reenacted a Mr. Magoo cartoon for
Yeah, with
for 3 hours.
yes.
Oh my God, what an unsatisfying ending. It's perfectly satisfying, but very unsatisfying.
I love it. I love how it turned out.
I'm I'm very glad this turned out the way it did. I think this has given me the confidence to maybe try and do this again sometime, but
Yeah.
also I don't think I'd be able to come up with a bunch of new competitions. So it's like I don't know how I would do this again. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. This was very fun though. I think I would want to do this again.
Yeah. It was really a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Christof, for coming on the show. And thank you, listener, for tuning in. This has been the short podcast about short films. Until next time, goodbye.